Basically, this was a dry run for animatronics, later perfected by the world-famous Chuck E. Cheese band, made famous for songs like You Expect Good Pizza When Our Mascot's a Rat and Vomit Makes the Ball Pit Sad.
Put it this way, you had a better chance of seeing Sasquatch at my son's football game than my parents.
Like, first of all, who hasn't heard of milk to the point that it needs aggressive marketing? Are there people living in caves hearing magical tales about this creamy substance and thinking, oh yeah, that would go good in my coffee?
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
"2026 is here.
We're
Ready to go." Yeah. Well, because we're like pretty deep into January at this point. But yeah, this is our first Decay.
That's right. I waited to today to take down a Christmas tree, and surprise, the pickup was last week.
That's very odd.
So we do this thing every year where we put it in our fire pit. But
Yeah.
let me tell you, by the time it warms up enough that we're actually out there and using the fire pit, that thing went up like there was a bomb attached.
You know, and the year before, like an idiot, I kind of tossed it in there and it came right back at me.
A
On
flame.
fire, yeah. It melted part of the lawn furniture. So yeah, so here's a tip, kids. Don't throw something that's going to burst into flames. Anyway, speaking of which, let's talk about grinning and bearing it.
To a busy parent, there's no better product for their child than a distraction. Not just a toy, a temporary replacement adult. Something that can kind of more or less babysit your kid while you call together dinner, pay bills, cycle laundry, or about 12 other crucial tasks. So just sticking kids in front of the TV isn't good. Too much screen time. So in the spirit of kid distraction, the world was taken by storm by a tape recorder stuffed inside a bear. Enter Teddy Ruxpin. Who doesn't remember that creepy little bastard? He would read your child literature. And when I say literature, I mean that very loosely. Not Dickens, but maybe the Velveteen Rabbit to get your child a blast of soul-enriching tragedy at the age of 7.
The original 1985 model was about as cuddly as a brick. But here's the selling point. It came with a friend, sold separately, of course, because one sentient toy watching your child wasn't enough. No, let's make it a duo, and his name was Grubby.
Now, I have no idea who sat in a boardroom and pitched this or how many mushrooms were involved, but you can't make up products like these. Grubby was an octopede, an 8-legged creature. Not exactly an octopus, but similar. I guess a fellow woodland creature, like, say, a rabbit, would make too much sense. He's Teddy's best friend, known for an insatiable appetite for root stew. Root stew? Were we trying to sell the kiddos on an aboriginal diet of some kind?
What child was like, yes, this resonates. I've been trying to get mom to stop with the after-school pizza rules, fire up the cauldron for a batch of boiled horseradish. So the full babysitting package consisted of 2 synchronized animatronic creatures, eyes moving, mouths opening and closing in perfect turn, because nothing soothes the rough edges of childhood like a bear that can only move his eyes and mouth, kind of like a paraplegic uncle. Basically, this was a dry run for animatronics, later perfected by the world-famous Chuck E. Cheese band, made famous for songs like You Expect Good Pizza When Our Mascot's a Rat and Vomit Makes the Ball Pit Sad.
And the inventors were cheeky enough to name the company World of Wonder. Fast forward to 2017, Teddy evolves. He ditches the clunky tape recorder and upgrades to a microchip, making him actual software. And Soft is really doing the heavy lifting there. See what I did? Because he's still horrifying. The new teddy bear has LCD eyes that change shapes, hearts, stars, and music notes to match the mood of the story. Just like when Aunt Claudette reads me A Great Day for Up.
And notice what they didn't bring back. No Grubby, which means Grubby is definitely homeless now. Out on the strip, cardboard sign, Even Pee Wee Herman was quoted as saying, "I'm so glad I'm not an analog arthropod." Ha ha! The other members of the Playhouse echoed unanimous agreement.
But the real nightmare is the troubleshooting guide for this huggable model. If Teddy doesn't respond when you press his right paw or his left paw, pause, check to see if the internal button has shifted within the stuffing or if a wire has come loose. It's all right, sweetie. He's just got some loose internal organs. If Teddy weren't turned on, use a Phillips head screwdriver to open the battery compartment on his back under his vest and replace the batteries.
Nothing is more emotionally scarring to a child than watching their father perform open bear surgery, especially when you had to bug him about it for 2 straight weeks and he's finally doing it 3 beers in while cussing at the football game on TV. Our poor companion, no anesthesia, just dad muttering, "Effing strip screws," while Teddy stares at the ceiling with heart shaped eyes and absolutely no pulse. What could go wrong here? Speaking of which, not sure whether they did it vindictively, but my parents always seemed to blow it when I asked them for things like this. The more specific I was, the more indifferent they became. It goes back as far as I can remember. Like, I scraped up enough lawn mowing money to buy these tapes called the Metal Method Guitar Instruction Series. I found it in Circus Magazine at the impressionable age of 11. I was convinced they arrived during the week I was away at scout camp, but my folks vehemently denied it. Fortunately, the package surfaced behind a set of my mom's Polish cookbooks when I was packing up for college. I can only speculate that dear old mom was trying to learn the main lick from Crazy Train while putting the finishing touches on her Gawumpki.
I was about 11 when I acquired my rodent soulmate. He was a guinea pig and his name was Scampy. Scampy and I did everything together.
It was adorable. They played checkers, which mostly involved Stace playing against herself, while he aggressively ate lettuce and pooped on the rug. She put little barrettes in his hair so it wouldn't get in his eyes, the whole 9 yards.
Then I went away to a week-long sleepover camp, and suddenly Scampy stopped eating.
See, that's what it is. We should have never gone away. That's the problem.
I wrote multiple letters asking how he was, but my parents never responded as they were struggling with trips to the vet and trying to medicate a guinea pig. So when I finally got home, my dad waited until I stepped off the bus, hugged me, and said, "Good to see you. Your pig is dead." No easing in, just rodent obituary at curbside. Of course, I cried hysterically. Came to find out my guinea pig was depressed because I was gone, which is an emotional burden no child should have to carry. In the end, I never got another guinea pig, ever, due to guinea pig PTSD, or as I call it, GP PTSD.
Another doozy from my household took several years of therapy to get over. Comes to mind, I think I was about 9 or 10.
And yeah, the cool sneaks of the period were Adidas, preferably with green stripes.
I asked my parents for a pair, and they seemed to oblige miraculously, possibly knowing that at such a tender young age I wasn't equipped to count the stripes. I wore them several times, but my shining hour came at a birthday party on a decidedly muddy day.
After a great time chasing balls and wreaking havoc, all shoes were caked in mud. As a service, the host mom collected all of the muddy shoes for a quick wash dry.
Needless to say, after one cycle in the dryer, it became abundantly clear to everyone who had the knockoffs. These shoes didn't just melt, they metamorphosized into what looked like blocks of hardened macaroni. Totally unwearable, and to make matters worse, that was the only pair of shoes I had that day. I can only hope that the 20 to 30 bucks that my parents saved were worth swapping my sense of self-worth for, as I went home with trash bags that the mom had carefully taped to my feet in lieu of shoes. I exited in disgrace amid snickers from a wide variety of my peers. My blocks of macaroni were disposed of unceremoniously when I got home.
My mom and dad spent over 60 years together as soulmates, which was great, but they always had their own agenda. Put it this way, you had a better chance of seeing Sasquatch at my son's football game than my parents. As the kids were growing up, they checked in and out of responsibility like a young couple considering a timeshare, as opposed to full-fledged grandparents. I'll never forget the time I ran my second marathon. In a strange turn of events, my parents volunteered to watch the kids, who were all under 10 at the time.
Now, for those of you that have never run 26.2 miles in one go, let me explain to you what your body feels like afterwards. It's like someone picked you up and jostled your internal organs for over 4 hours, then put you down gently and said, "Good luck with your liquefied intestines."
You're nauseated, you're unsteady. You're not sure if you're going to pass out, throw up, or lose control of your bodily functions. So I exit the finish area, barely conscious and probably in need of immediate medical attention. That's when my parents swoop in. "Okay, we gotta go." And there I was with 3 children and a slew of McDonald's bags, indicating everyone was on a sugar high but me. Sure, I wasn't capable of forming coherent words at this point, but I was back on duty as a parent. I mean, we couldn't take a chance on my parents missing out on the farmer's market, as it was only open for 5 more hours. All right, let's talk about our feature interview for this week.
Our feature interview this week is with Jerry Witunsky and Derek Moniz of the New England death metal band Ancient Death. It's a great discussion with this exciting new band that easily made our top 10 of 2025 with their epic debut, Ego Dissolution. We cover everything from the formation of the band to riff and lyric construction, to paranormal experiences, to bass players coming out of their shell, artistically speaking. Plus, there's even a mild coffins geek out, so let's stay tuned for that. Let's play a song. This is Journey to the Inner Soul. Okay, let's talk about Patreon. The site is patreon.com/Snaggletooth podcast. And for $6.66 a month, you get an adorable little go-kart made from vintage watermelon crates with bad steering, full of Mark and Stace.
So I don't know if you know this, you probably wouldn't know this. I told you, so I'm going to tell you. We do a great deal of writing going into this show. A lot of the stuff makes it onto the cutting room floor, shall I say, because we try to just pick the best stuff, and sometimes we run out of time. But this time on Patreon, I'm going to tell a tale of childhood trauma that did not make the show. So if you would like to hear more childhood trauma, because honestly, what could be funnier?
That's what you want from a comedy show, with lots of childhood trauma stories. Plus, we also put up a charming little recipe that Stace finished. Stace making apple pie, of which I ate half in one night. That's how good it was. So gluttony, yay!
Yeah, I use secret ingredients that only our Patreons will know.
Yeah. So get over there now. It's very different than what you see here. We've got recipes, we've got potting tips, we've got exercise tips, weird reviews, book reviews. It's a world gone mad over at Patreon. So go ahead and check it out if you really want to get a glimpse into our wacky life. And speaking of wacky, I think it's time.
Okay.
Hit it.
And now it's time for Obnoxious Trivia!
All right, Obnoxious Trivia. There was something special about this one, wasn't it?
Stumbled onto this story of this really bizarre race. So all the questions are about this race.
Must have been some race.
Fascinating article.
Okay, hit me with number one.
The Barkley Marathon started in 1995 and held each year in Frozen Head State Park in Morgan County, Tennessee.
Frozen Head, okay.
Let's go. Are considered the most brutal ultra marathon in the world, was inspired by what unusual historical event? A. Local legend about hikers outrunning a bear there. B. Martin Luther King's assassin escaping there, covering only 8 miles in 55 hours. C. A lost college pledge wandering for days in Frozen Head State Park. D. A bet between 2 park rangers on who could survive the wilderness longest.
The Barkley Marathons. I have no idea. I'm going to say a local legend about hikers outrunning a bear.
It's actually B.
Really?
About Martin Luther King's assassin escaping there.
Wow.
And when the organizers of the race realized he only covered 8 miles in 55 hours. They wanted to see if they could beat his record in the same wilderness.
Wow. Okay.
So that's how it started.
We're learning a lot today. Okay.
2. How many people have officially finished the Barkley Marathons in its 25-plus year history? A, 0, B, 10, C, 42, or D, 100?
25 years. Okay. I'll say B10.
You were right.
All right.
Only 10 people have managed to
Must be
finish
really
this.
brutal. Good Lord.
It's really, really difficult. It's loops that you have to complete so many times, and it's easy to get lost.
I wonder if you really do get chased by bears.
Right.
That would motivate me.
3. The entry process for the Barkley Marathons is famously bizarre. Which of the following is part of the official process? A. Track down a secret email address and submit an essay pleading your case. B. Mail a box of chocolates and a handwritten poem to the race director. B. Climb a nearby mountain blindfolded before registration. Or D. Run a 5K in under 20 minutes while juggling apples.
D sounds like something I would come up with. I'm going to say B, mail a box of chocolates.
It's actually A. There's a secret email address that you have to locate, and you have to write an essay pleading why they should let you run the race.
I hate essays. I'm out. Yeah. Okay, number 4.
Really crazy, right? In 2019, a runner set the record on the Barkley course. How long did it take to finish? A, 36 hours, B, 56 hours, C, 60 hours, D, 60 plus hours and counting. He barely survived.
I'll say D, 60 plus hours and counting.
You're right.
But he almost set the record for the longest time?
No, he set a record. No, he set a record. That was a record.
To be done in over 60 hours.
Yes, and
Okay.
he
But he barely survived.
He almost died.
Okay.
It's pretty brutal.
My God. Wow. I'm not going to be signing up for this anytime soon.
Anyway, it's a fascinating article. I have to share it with you.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wow.
I just don't know where you find the secret email.
Crazy. Well, this has been Obnoxious Trivia. I'm already tired just thinking about it.
Oh, yeah. Sorry to be boring, but that was such an interesting article.
Be interesting stuff.
I couldn't help but make it all
Like
up.
running a marathon's not bad enough. You got to run one that almost kills people. That's really
Well,
interesting.
this is more than a marathon. It's what they call an ultra marathon, which is over 100 miles. Yeah. Ever heard of a nurdle? What is it anyway? Is it a cute little baby duck cry? A tiny sea turtle? Is it a Pokemon that evolves into a strudel? Not even close. A nurdle is a glob of toothpaste. Not just any toothpaste either. It's the Nike swoosh of oral hygiene. The perfect aerodynamic ribbon you see hovering majestically over toothbrushes in commercials. The toothpaste equivalent of A+ dental checkup card.
I want to know what calligraphy enthusiast is trying to create the perfect swoop of toothpaste at 6:30 a.m. If I can find the brush, the tube, and my mouth at the same time, I've got a leg up on the day.
And folks, these companies take their nurdles very seriously. How seriously? So seriously that Colgate-Palmolive and GlaxoSmithKline, two of the biggest toothpaste manufacturers on the planet, are currently in a legal knife fight over whose nurdle is the dominant one. As an aside, gotta say, putting the Glaxo first in their name is a stroke of genius. It makes it seem like those guys are designing aerodynamic space toothpicks or something. Quite intimidating when issuing lawsuits.
Apparently, the original complaint is 76 pages long. 76 pages of Exhibit A, side-by-side minty blobs. Did we need a full novel to say that swoosh looks like plagiarism? What's next? Is French's looking to corner the market for the perfect mustard swiggle across the hot dog? Not if Golden's has anything to say about it. What would we call this legendary court battle? The condiment conflict? The triple dog dare? The war of the wiener whoosh?
Glaxo claims they established triple protection with Aquafresh, and Colgate is calling it nurdle identity theft. Wait, do they even sell Aquafresh anymore? I thought that stuff went the way of the Sbarro and Photomat years ago. What's the phrase? A toothpaste doesn't change its stripes.
This is why the court system in America is tied up for months, even years, because the law firm of Abercrombie, Moskowitz, and Tartar Control are clogging up the works with discovery motions. These guys should get together and realize that Crest is kicking all their asses anyway, so what difference does it all make in the long run?
And while we're on the subject of just keep paying the lawyers, the California Milk Processor Board is famously aggressive about defending the trademark slogan, "Got Milk."
Like, first of all, who hasn't heard of milk to the point that it needs aggressive marketing? And why are they spending thousands of dollars to defend two words they put together over 30 years ago? Are there people living in caves hearing magical tales about this creamy substance and thinking, oh yeah, that would go good in my coffee? Evidently, their legal stranglehold on those 7 letters knows no bounds.
There will be no "got Jesus," "got bail," or even "got cheddar," as someone at their offices considers this phrase as timeless as the crucifixion. But here's a twist in another lawsuit. Farmers were forced to fund the "Got Milk" campaign, even if they disagreed with it. So imagine being a dairy farmer milking cows at 4 a.m., knowing your money is being used to sue people over punctuation, a little parody, and question marks.
Meanwhile, the kids are stuck in community college, tires on the Deer are flat as Paris Hilton, and the outdated threshing machine you have is the laughingstock of the whole USDA. Meanwhile, you're being docked hundreds of dollars per month so that the law firm of Where's the Beef and Sons can write cease and desist orders. It's a world gone mad, people. All right, I can't take any more. Let's play a song. This is Ancient Death with Echoing Chambers Within the Dismal Mind. Okay, let's talk about lots and lots of Coffee AM.
Coffee AM is our favorite online coffee destination. And they had a wonderful deal, which may still be going on.
We took quite advantage. Yeah. We have enough coffee to choke a camel now.
They're always doing specials at Coffee AM. They even have a whole specials page. And basically, if you bought 4 bags, you got 2 for free. So I had to jump right in there and make sure that we got on it, considering we were out of coffee at the time, which is tragic because Starbucks coffee just is not as good as this.
Right.
But I decided to try a Tanzania pea berry. Interesting to know.
Okay.
This is a dark chocolate coffee. This is one of their flavors.
Mm-hmm. We got that one before it's going.
Yeah, that's always a winner. Rainforest Crunch coffee. This has a little bit of a nutty edge to it.
It's not crunchy though, so don't worry about that. Yeah.
No crunchy coffee. Went with the mocha java. Who could go wrong with that? Who was like up in the morning going, I need my mocha java. Well, here it is. That smells delicious.
Way better than way better than a Tibetan sandalwood.
We have a Costa Rica Reserve. This is what they call a single origin coffee, which, as you know, makes more sense than fair trade if you watch our other episodes.
That's right. Yeah. This isn't Blood Diamond coffee.
This is another flavor. This is chocolate raspberry coffee. Nice. So these are all of our haul. You too can get on this. So right now they're running a special. If you get 4 bags, you get 2 free.
And you'll be drowning in coffee like we are.
Yeah. So, and stock up. They're also a points coffee. So the more coffee that you buy, the more points you can redeem for money off your future orders.
We're not going to run out for a long time.
Use our link. It will save you off your first order. And these are FedExed right to your door.
That's right. Okay. It is time for Bombastic Plastic.
Bombastic.
This week on Bombastic Plastic, we're going to talk about Asmodée Symptômes de Ruine from 2002.
Ever run into someone that just talks too fast? I mean, we're talking perfectly well-adjusted people, salt-of-the-earth acquaintances, whose brain moves a little faster than their mouth can translate. Imagine how everyday phrases can be misunderstood as we try to wrap our collective heads around this speed-talking phenomenon. For example, the policeman that pulls you over and states, "I'm going to let you off with a warning this time," is misinterpreted as, "I'm bowling for Microsoft this morning at 9." I mean, this dude's Bill Gates gutterball obligations don't communicate if I'm being fined at all.
How about some harmless office banter? The meeting is over and there's a cake in the conference room. Delivered just a little too quickly can be heard as, "We're eating with Grover for mistakes on the lawn since June." Happy to discuss green thumbs and Sesame Street when happy hour rolls around, but right now I've got a budget to finish. Finally, there's the simple medical checkup. "Congratulations, sir, your test came back normal." As communicated by a motor mouth, comes out as, "Decapitations of armrests at the mall kept things informal." So how much is my copay, Dr. Frankenstein? The speed talker phenomenon has always been in the back of my mind when I spin this forgotten progressive black metal classic from Asmodée, a hugely talented four-piece from southwestern France that released several demos and 3 full-length records before splitting up in 2013. There are a few things you need to know about this band. First off, everyone's a shredder, from blast crazed drummer Vincent Roubier to journeyman bass maestro Matteau Gavrot Planum, whose informed bass burbles underpin every moment of this recording.
Vocalist Thomas Cassiang may be the only member of the band not gifted with mutant powers, but his stark, paint-curling screams are relentless, and even his occasional meandering gurgle provides some much-needed rhythmic grounding to this chaotic sound. Great name for a band, by the way, the Meandering Gurgles. You guys can have that one for making it this far into the review. No sweat. This isn't progressive or atmospheric black metal in the realm of Deathspell Omega. This is pure, claustrophobic, speed on speed sprints through odd time signatures, psychonic rift experiments, and crazed shred scribbling. There are occasionally creepy piano bits woven into the mix, which do provide a sort of creepy King Diamond atmosphere to some of the segments.
The 3+ minute Hurlements is one of the disc's stronger cuts. Pig noises give way to furious blasting and bass noodling, hard scream vocals, backing off slightly to enough of a chug so that we can hear the guitaristic equivalent of the Dice-O-Matic a couple minutes in. The track settles into a comfortable thrash pace a couple of times, and 2 things become clear. First, the rhythm section is absolutely stellar and could likely smoke any band in the scene from this period. Second, our talking too fast jest is particularly apt in a cut like this, as during the rare moments when Vincent Roubier stops blasting, the furious pace and jazzy tone of the bass is most enjoyable, even when it's doubling a mathy guitar riff in some way. So let's hear a little bit of this. This is Hurlements.
This may be extreme metal by way of the Mahavishnu Orchestra, but doubters need to take only a quick gander at the translated lyrics to confirm this is bona fide black metal lyrically, tackling ashes, funerals, melancholy, monsters, leeches, and Valkyries. The gang's all here. The passenger best hold on tight as the track takes off at ridiculous speed, drums ticking and bass croaking, with guitarist Nicholas Michaud deftly alternating lead and rhythm in a dizzying display of virtuosity. This track stands out particularly due to the rolling double pedal drum style employed by Roubier, showing off his mind-boggling acumen in a way his consistent blasting doesn't really capture. Lords of the Solstice may be the track that comes closest to our preconceived notion of black metal between the dissident intro riffing of Michaud that locks step with Rubier as he leads the track through segments of fast, faster, fastest, with zero care if the listener can hold on whatsoever. When the band settles into a rare mid-paced tempo, like the one suggested briefly a couple minutes into this track, their genius for riffing becomes all too apparent.
Overall, a dizzying 40 minutes of breakneck stuff that even your OG extreme metal aficionado may have a hard time remembering. The good news is, first generation CD copies of this beast can still be had online for a relatively cheap price. So for those of you that have had enough of the atmospheric and or all things post about modern metal, I highly recommend grabbing a copy of Symptômes de Ruine for all but neck-breaking black metal musicianship shrouded in European sophistication. Clearly, all of the calves are obtuse at this joint. Sorry, I mean, really, what do you have to lose at this point? Let's play a clip. This is Lords of the Solstice. Want to introduce the interview?
This was our much anticipated interview with Ancient Death. They are just as fascinating as I thought they would be.
It's a great interview.
What great musicians. If you haven't heard this album yet, what the heck is wrong with you?
It's fantastic, and they're very passionate. We get into all kinds of stories about the making of the album, fretless basses, female vocals, and some very cool bands that they've toured with. So take it away.
Well, we were just discussing how you guys landed in our top 10 and have been in a lot of top 10 lists that I've seen.
Yeah.
Were you surprised or did you know what a great nugget you had here?
I mean, I don't think anyone can really anticipate or expect if how the public is gonna receive your art. I think we just the four of us were we felt like the record we had made was really special for us. So I mean, I'm very honored and grateful that it seems to be connecting so well with so many people. It's pretty incredible.
So I love the concept of ego dissolution. Not something you might be talking about at your, bar or something.
Yeah, right.
Where did you guys come across that idea of kind of disassociation from self? And was it a philosophy class or just a book you read or something else?
No, I mean, I think the four of us are pretty, we definitely feel really hard and, but we also kind of wear our hearts on our sleeves a little bit. I think for me, it kind of stems down from childhood and just, going through certain things that I went through and trying to navigate through youth and, a young adult life and just trying to find some place of healing and acceptance. So most of the stuff we write, or particularly the lyrics, I just take from personal experiences, and I'm just trying to, they're almost like journals from my mind, kind of how I'm feeling about things. And it's really cool that Ray, Jasmine, and Derek all, even if they feel differently about something, we support each other enough that it, we're all behind those topics. Because the whole record is just about, the loss of self through both positive and negative means. And, and just trying to navigate through that.
Well, what I think it's a refreshing concept for death metal, which was really cool. And I just kind of step back and let Jerry take the wheel there because I think there's a cool not just I can't say originality because that's a strong word, but I think it's more just refreshing just to have something a little bit to shake up the mix lately because there's just such a massive volume of material being put out almost that it's almost okay, it can get stale. I'm sure to plenty of listeners, and I just kind of feel like this is a little bit more of its own thing, and I really appreciate that about this record.
Mhm. Very, very cool. Yeah.
I liked the concept. On a little bit of a lighter note, what do you kind of like to lose yourself in? Like a favorite TV series, forest bathing, or something else?
You want to
Uh,
go first? Go first, Jerry.
music. I mean, that's the easy one, but it's the most honest one. I mean, we've all been huge music heads since we were kids, and I think like especially you know there's so much to discover about yourself and your world, like listening to music, and that can be both positive and negative things. Listening to sad music, I think, can be very healing, but it can also uh, be a negative thing sometimes. Listening to happy music can be, really healing, and but also, too much of it might not be good. But
Right.
yeah, I would say, I mean, we're huge record, Derek too. I mean, we're huge record collectors, and I geek out over, like, I have certain bands I love, and I'll collect like every version of something on CD, vinyl, cassette, and that's like kind of what I immerse myself in. And so it's cool, for us at least, to have like a record come out. Like when we had this record done, it's like the first LP I've ever like put out that has been for one of my bands, and just holding it, I was just like, holy shit, like I can't believe that this is finally exists. It's like it felt like
Yeah,
a
it's
huge
great.
accomplishment. But
Yeah.
yeah, that, hanging out with my cats, that's like reading, video games, all that stuff.
Before you got on, we were talking about that you moved a little further north, so you must enjoy the snow a little based on where you moved.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm a huge summer person. I love hot ass weather, but yeah, I mean, Maine's not too far from where I'm from. It's only a couple hours, and I've honestly been really enjoying the solitude up here, and it's been I've been in a space where I've been able to write uh, not I don't know, not different music, but I'm just in a different headspace, I guess. So
Yeah, yeah.
there's
Very
different
cool. Yeah.
things kind of coming out of that. So it'll be cool to see where we go with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
How many cats do you have?
Two, they're roaming around. They might jump up on the counter in a
Hmm.
second.
Ours too, yeah. Yeah.
Hell
We
yeah.
have 5 because we've lost control of our life, pretty much.
Oh, no, that sounds like a dream right there.
Yeah, we have 5.
We
Yeah.
had 3, and we had originally had 4, and we were looking to adopt one more. And I went to this adoption agency, this feline rescue, and the woman wanted me to take 3 of them. And then we compromised. I was like, all right, I'll take 2. And then
I'll
I'm
take
Right.
it.
Yeah.
I own rats, actually.
Yeah, rats and cats.
Yeah, I got 2 rats. I think rats are amazing. They're like
they're
coolest
very smart.
pet. Yeah, like it sucks because they don't live long. So like we just was so crushed that like we lost one. It was our first rat, so like we immediately got more. It's like these little guys. They're little time here. They're just so fun. So yeah.
That's so cool because they're notorious for living through anything, and now you're trying to keep them alive,
Yeah,
and they're not.
no doubt. Yeah.
Do you have them do little mazes and things, or just?
I mean, I don't think we're that invested. I kind of like the little cone games that you see people do, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just kind of like love them and feed them, let them run around, play with them. Maybe someday I'll teach them to do a circus act or something. But
There you go.
for
Yeah,
the meantime, they're just being cool and
it's very metal to have
Yeah.
rats. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
You
yeah,
could have them on a little on-stage pre-show.
yeah.
And then in the final thing, this cage comes up, and then you guys are playing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you put out like a split, an EP, and then a demo, all pretty much with the same lineup. Was the sequence, that kind of sequence, driven by the sound, or were there other reasonings behind kind of doing things in that order?
I think I'll answer this one. So what happened there was we had a mutual friend who I've known since the early 90s. His name's Roy Fox, and
Mm.
he runs like a label that's, you know, kind of doing mostly distro, but he did his fair share of bands and still does on and off. And he had been doing a podcast, and we've been talking a lot. And I just said, "Oh, hey, I have this band I'm doing session work for at the time." So he was interested in maybe, oh, well, why don't I mind, you know, playing a track on our podcast. So I talked to everyone, and we were all stoked on doing that. So we end up playing like a track, and then within like 10 minutes, he's like, "Hey, we're interested in releasing some material," and that's how everything kind of took off. And we just kind of like did a CD EP first, so it kind of only made sense to try to release a demo next instead of just going right to a full length record. And I just think in closing of that, just to kind of give the chance for the band and the sound to kind of be assessed through our ears a little more before just moving upward that quickly. And I think it was worth it. I think it gave us the opportunity to adjust as players to each other and really learn how we tick indirectly, you know? And so that's kind of how it came about, you know, like, oh, and plus we just thought it would be cool to do a demo because like that's what underground bands did, you know, like, oh, we don't have a demo. Let's get a demo done for the sake of that.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know.
Exactly.
Sometimes you see people come out with 14 demos. It was like 14 demos.
Well, they're
Okay.
very collectible, you know. Yeah. Especially if they're on cassette, you know.
Yeah, for sure. But
yeah, totally.
but that's how we ended up doing it. I'm glad we did it that way because, you know, there's versions of those songs that sound differently on the record. There's different solos, different, you know, qualities, different drum patterns, you know, all that just get, you know, naturally progress when you re-record certain things or whatever the case may be. So grateful we did it that way.
And now you can have fans that say, "Oh, I only like their first demo," you know.
Yeah.
Because there's always that, you know.
Sure.
So for writing the full length, was the writing process similar to the split in the EP or a little different as far as a little more to it?
It definitely, I mean, there was definitely similar things, but they were also very different. I mean, when we wrote Sacred Vessel, I had most of that stuff written before anyone was even in the band. Our original first drummer, Dave, and I used to hang out in the summers of in 2019, and I had like all this material I had started working on, and we would just kind of jam and hang out, and eventually it developed into something more. So at the end of it, you know, going into COVID, you know, it was just Ray, Jasmine, myself, and Dave, and through COVID, you know, Dave had his other project, and Derek, I had been in a band with Derek, and so he came along more as a session musician for that first release. So there was like certain drum things that were there, but you know, he added his flavor onto them. Whereas like on our material post that, you know, where he became a full-time member, you know, we wrote songs together and he wrote his own parts. And so I think you can hear that difference in drumming a little bit. I think especially with the record, it's just like he went full throttle. It's like absolutely insane. I think it's probably like my favorite part of the whole record is the drumming. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, I mean, we tried different things. Sometimes it's like one of us will write a song and we'll get together. Sometimes it's a couple of us. So, but it came really, really fluid and it was just easy. We just have fun writing together. So we kind of let the songs take hold of themselves. Like when they feel finished, that's when we kind of end it. And anything's kind of welcome in there. But yeah, I'd say that, you know, we recorded a little differently too. I mean, like we went to different places. There's, you know, different people mastering it. We, you know, had a huge hand in mixing the record. Yeah, so I think it came out pretty badass.
Yeah, I kind of like what was kind of amazing is how fast it all went. It was a very quickly written LP. Like there was no hesitation, no holdups, no, just and it was fluid and fun, no complicated stuff. Um, at the time, we rehearsed at my house, and my father was actually temporarily staying here, and at the time he was about 75, 76, and you would think most people would be like, all right, you guys done already? Like it's loud guitars, death metal,
Yeah, yeah.
like he would be like, "Oh, you guys practicing today?" I'd be like, "Oh no, we're not doing it this week." He'd be like, "Oh man, I was kind of looking forward to hearing that new song." Like it was a really inspiring
Nice.
process,
Yeah. That's nice.
like having that. And my father here, who hopefully he'll be around for a long time still, but he's getting up there
That's
and
great.
him
Yeah.
enjoying it and everyone enjoying themselves. I just thought that was a really fun part of the whole, process of making that record too.
That's great. Good for you. Yeah, very good.
So for the recording process in Machines Without Magnets, I love that name, by the way.
Oh, machines with magnets, yeah.
Machines with magnets.
Yeah.
Right. Was it a smooth experience? Were there any kind of accidents that ended up staying on the final cut?
Yeah, I mean, with the recording of that, I mean, we recorded it in a really short time. I think it was like 5 days. So we just were like bang, 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 bang. There was a lot of things that we had decided like the night before, like Jasmine singing, like that wasn't planned. And, the night before I was like, maybe we should try this. I mean, she bought a fretless bass the week before the recording and decided to do the whole record with a fretless,
Yeah.
never
Wow.
playing it before. So those were kind of happy accidents that I think really elevated our sound. But I mean, when we record, it's usually Derek and I in a room together. And so there's no click tracks or anything like that. It's just us in the moment playing the songs together, how we feel in that moment. So there's a lot of room for space and errors, but I think that gives it its human quality. And I think that actually makes the music uh, connect more. It feels more real. It doesn't, and there's a time and place for having click tracks and having everything like done with like Pro Tools in a certain way. But for our music, it feels like more authentic to us when it's just four people playing together.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was an amazing experience. Seth is an amazing person to work with, and he really kind of pushed us. And but yeah, I mean, there's things we tried out that are wasn't initially planned, and I think that we succeeded in just having like a authentic record with mistakes and
Yeah.
all.
No, you need that little bit of spontaneity, I think. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when we all the stuff that the classics that like everyone worships, all those records were done before, um click tracks and all these, bells and whistles in the studio. It was guys going in and you did a scratch track and drums, and then you would overdub the rest or whatever. And we just were like, we have it enough down. We got a chemistry where we know we could go in and we wouldn't want it any other way,
Yeah.
because the songs were well rehearsed. And it shows, because like those old records, people always go back to them, and we wanted a product that hopefully people will go back to
Yeah.
continuously.
That's great. Yeah.
So do you use the same guitars for writing as recording as well as kit setup, or is it a little different?
Well, my drums, I'll give away some tricks for you youngins, but like, um, in the studio, I only use two separate bass drums. Where live, it doesn't really matter. I'll use a double pedal live, and the reason there is to be able to mix down the bass drums in a good balance. Where like with a double bass pedal, it's kind of hard to nail down two kick drums going at you at a million miles an hour and get a good mix. So those are just things I've learned through years of doing this. And I just try to use those skills, and they really seem to kind of shine through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I for guitars and stuff like that, on the Sacred Vessel and most of that material, I use the same gear for the most part. I still do. I guess I still used most of the same stuff. But I tried different guitars and different pedals. Ray and I had tried different cabs and heads, for different tones and sounds. The big one, again, like I said, was Jocelyn with the fretless bass. That was like a whole new thing. And so, but yeah, like I think like, we just, with certain instruments and stuff, like there's different sounds that they create, and we're very creative people. Like we want things to sound the best they can, or at least what we think sound the best.
Right.
So, but we, it's like, even like with recording, like we like having that clearness in it, but we still like a little bit of that like classic rawness that some of those old records have. So, we've also been playing music together and separately for a long, long time. I mean, like I've been playing guitar for 23 years almost. And so it's like, I kind of figured out what works for me. And so I don't change too many things, but I feel like we have a good formula going right now.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
totally taken a guitar apart and solved it and completely altered it.
Yeah, we constantly are messing with our crap.
I know we like installed pickups in that bass like the night
Yeah.
before.
Yeah,
Like I was like, we'll rush order these pickups, so it's like we gotta put them in before the studio won't sound as good without them.
Oh, that's
And
great.
luckily we're able to do those things, you know what I mean, quickly, and pretty self-sufficient bunch of people, so it's pretty
That's
cool.
nice.
That's awesome. So I know you were saying this is not a concept album per se, but there seems to be recurring themes and ideas that kind of run through. Am I sensing a common thread?
Yeah, I mean it's weird because it's like half of me doesn't really feel like it's a concept album, but another side of me does, in a sense of that, like the songs are just personal experiences and emotions. So you know uh, that I've had. So I mean it's I don't know. There's definitely like, for me, it's not really telling a story. It's just kind of saying these are the different parts of who I am, and it's less about me, but more of just like that's what I'm referring to. And so I feel like it kind of is expressing like the universal struggles that a lot of people also experience, in their own ways. And it's, for me, it's like important for, you know, as long as someone connects with that for themselves, like, that's like my whole thing for it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think like, people have their own interpretations of music, and they attach their own personal experiences with things. And so I think if that's what it means to somebody else, then that's what the record's about, for them.
Yeah.
So that's just as much as what I was writing about.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I guess there is like some stuff that are kind of put throughout the record that kind of, there's a unified theme, but it's not necessarily like a story or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just good imagination, like really good, creativity when it came to like the content. It's not just something thrown together. I think it's something that Jerry had a vision about for quite a while and was finally able to like conceptualize it. Cool.
Yeah. No, I like both. I mean, I picked up on a lot of your lyrics are kind of based on the human condition, which shows a maturity and a depth. But I also like knifey stabby. I
Oh
like,
yeah.
I
Oh
like,
yeah,
We love evil metal.
I never get tired of serial
Yeah.
killer
we love
stuff,
like
So
satanic stuff and
Yeah, we
chemical
like all 100%.
stuff.
You know what I mean?
it never gets old for me.
No,
So
Yeah.
same
yeah.
here.
Yeah, I mean, even it's like funny because it's like when I was like a kid, like Ray and I had an old band way back in the day called Morbid Vitality. It was like a little project I had kind of started when I was like 11 or 12 or something, and I did for a couple years. And for me, sometimes I don't really say this often, but like Ancient Death almost is like the continuation of that a little bit, because like when I first started writing lyrics, it was all like gore and like, could I say the most like crazy thing, you know.
Right.
And then
right.
when I got into like 14, 15, 16, I, you know, got into Buddhism and tons of stuff. And I just like, you know, the experiences I've had at that point, I just, you know, was constantly searching for something. I don't even know what for, but looking for something. So that lyrical content kind of shifted towards that. And then, you know, I joined other bands after that band broke up and kind of just played guitar. And then going into Ancient Death, those themes, I mean, like that's just a part of who I am. So those are things that just kind of came through in the music, and they're really natural for me. Like, you know, we're not, I don't like sit down and think like I got to write this because people are going to like this, or I have to write about this because that's what, you know, it's like, for me, I'm just trying to be honest and vulnerable, and all four of us are. And, you know, I think that's what people latch onto is the fact that it's like, you know, we're not trying to just like come up with some random bullshit. It's like, this is,
Yeah. Very genuine. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also like, you know, as much as we, like we take our music seriously, but like, you know, we're not so serious, you know, it's like
Right.
we're jokesters and, you know, just like
Yeah.
mess around with each other, but we take our art very seriously. Like we put a lot of work and effort into it and into our craft.
Yeah. You know, like we all do other bands too, and I think that like that appetite for different, you know, genre escapes. Like, you know, I do the evil death metal band. You know, Jerry does Atheist. You know, you got Rayham and
Yeah.
Triffigy. I mean, so like, you know, having this is different and it's good because it's not the same thing. You know, we're being ourselves doing Ancient Death, and however it's comes out, and that is I like I would rather not do multiple bands that sound exact or do the exact same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you bring up Atheist. I was going to ask you about that. How did that come about? Was that just where you were playing with them live and then it turned into more, or how did you get hooked up with
Oh
those
man,
guys?
it's actually it was a long time coming. I am a huge mega Atheist fan, and I discovered them probably when I was like 11 or 12 years old. I got into metal pretty early on just because my parents and they just both separately love uh, old metal, and so I had discovered them and just worshipped that. I learned Unquestionable Presence like front to back when I was like 13 or
Wow.
14.
Yeah.
And then I added Kelly on Facebook when I was like 14 and would send him videos of me playing the songs and just ask him for critiques. And when I was 16, he actually asked me to join Atheist and for the
Oh,
first
wow.
time. And I said no. And I was like, oh, I'm still in high school, man. Like I live with my mom. And all my friends are like, are you insane? Like, that's your favorite band? And then he's like, okay. And then like when I was like 19 or 20-ish, he asked me again, and I had life problems going on. So I was like, you know, this music really deserves somebody who's going to be there. So I said no a second time, and my friends were like really beating me in the head for that one. But then the last time he called me, and they had like a member quit or something, and so he needed somebody to fill in for Europe, and I said yes, and that tour ended up getting postponed. But then you know him and I had been talking, and he was from the get go. He was just like, "I want you in Atheist." So I joined as a full time member instantly, even before the first
Oh,
tour.
cool. That's great. Yeah.
So it was kind of like I don't know, 12 years in the making now.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a long time coming, but it's
That's
a dream
awesome.
come
Yeah.
true. And I mean, they're a classic band, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm really honored that I get to like perform in a kind of more legendary act. But it's nice to have an Ancient Death because it's like that's two sides of the same coin. You know, it's like
Right.
here's the old legendary like death metal, and like you know we get to still be a part of like this underground movement that's newer that we're starting to go through. But yeah, you know it's
That's great.
pretty
That's a
surreal.
great story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I pinch myself and be like, oh shit.
I love the cover art for this album. So does the skeleton have, you know, an ex-girlfriend or backstory, or is he just that kind of
uh,
probably not a name?
yeah, no. Uh, the skeleton. So basically, I had the song "Breathe Transcend into the Glowing Streams of Forever." It's kind of my idea on like life and death, and Derek is good friends with Megan LeMay, who's an incredible tattoo artist who does other metal covers, and we had done some work with her, and so I kind of gave her some concepts of that song, and she put this together, and it's amazing. Yeah, I don't know. She knocked it out
Yeah.
for me.
I mean, there was no tribute to anyone or anything with this. It was like the concepts that Jerry gave her and what she produced due to her background of like the knowledge of like metal aesthetic and like Wes Ben Scotter and all how cool things are supposed to look. And kids instantly latched on to Obituary.
Yeah,
And
I was gonna ask you about that.
yeah, like which is funny because that's not even their art. Like they got that from H.P. Lovecraft book, which was also the original Beneath the Remains cover that they obviously didn't go with. But like it's kind of funny how the internet works. And one kid can say something and people just latch onto it.
Like wildfire.
And it'll become this thing. But I mean, it's cool because hey, that's what makes this, fun and gives it attention. So if that's how someone wanted to give attention to our album, great,
Yeah.
But we're here to clarify that it was not an intentional thing. But I think we're really happy with how it looks regardless of any influence. I mean, those bands and those albums are huge influences on us. And so if it looks similar, great. I mean, it's death metal. A lot of things sound similar. A lot of things look similar. So just to have one cover look kind of like another one isn't a far stretch these days. We're definitely happy because it fits the concepts of what Jerry had in his creative mind, and that was like what we wanted. And we were all super happy with that. So,
yeah. And also, I mean, like, we're very artistic people. Like, Derek does tattoos and he's been an artist. Ray does this really cool art at home. I've also been huge into Jasmine too. Like, all of us were huge artistic people. And, we put a lot of work into the record itself. Like I was saying earlier, like, Derek and I are huge record collectors. And I remember being like a little kid going through, scourging through my dad's records and just like looking at like, Black Sabbath Sabotage and Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and just looking at all the amazing paintings and just how people put things together. And, so every aspect of our band is very important for us, whether it's like our live shows, the art that we're producing and putting out, the musical, the lyrical topics we sing about, all those things are intertwined, and we didn't, art's really important to us. That's the visual identity of what you're, buying. And there's tons of albums I love that have terrible artwork, and it's like, but that kind of makes it what it is, because even if it's like good or bad, that's what that band chose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, like a lot of bands will have like the poster version of their cover. We decided to do a like homage to Master Reality and have a massive poster of us in the woods, and people might not understand that, but we do. And hopefully people can get that connection and say, oh, and maybe figure that out when they have this product in their hand, buy an LP from us or the label or a record shop. And they, oh man, that kind of reminds me of the Black Sabbath. Mission accomplished. We're trying to take our influences and put them into what we're doing, and hopefully people will pick up.
I was kind of waiting for somebody to, because the skeleton, I thought somebody might pick up on like what's it, Ved Buenzenda, something like that, and say, and then you could say, well, we do have a female singer with a frontless bass, so not too far off there on the art rock side of things. But everybody went right for Obituary, which you guys don't really sound like Obituary to me,
No, I mean, they're a classic band, and I mean, like I love Cause of Death, I love Slowly We Rot and all that stuff. But I mean, the other thing is like people criticize us a lot for it, but it's like we didn't make the art either, it's like, but I think, I don't think it was an intentional thing. I think it just, it's, but I still stand behind like there's other things that I think it looks more like, but it still has its own identity. I feel
Yeah.
like if you look
Yeah.
at that, like for me at least, I'm like, yeah, that looks like, Ancient Death. Like, and especially with like the concept and knowing like what the cover is actually based off of, like it makes me feel like a completely different thing, but if people connect it with that, then cool, it's like classic record. So
I think it'd be funny, like the next album you could have like a kid lying in the gutter and a green logo, and it's just like the first album, and then be like, what's the problem? No,
yeah, what are you talking about?
like every album looks a lot like an Obituary album, but
Yeah.
you don't acknowledge it ever. That'd be great.
Yeah.
We'll call it Quickly We Die.
Exactly right. Just change it slightly and then be like, I don't know where you guys are getting this from. Next question.
No idea.
Yeah.
That's great. So Derek, you left the band briefly for about a year. What was kind of the catalyst that kind of brought you back into the fold?
Oh wow. Well, at the time I was doing multiple bands. So what it wasn't that I didn't want to do it. It was more or less just about time management at that point. Like I was running like 2 jobs, like doing like 2 other bands. But I think what was really important was once I heard how good the material was and how well we kind of the chemistry and not only that, but like how well we all got along. Like it's kind of hard for bands to have that quality. I mean, like I'm really lucky to have the bandmates in my life that I do because they're so easy to work with now. Like the guys in Cruciamentum, the guys in Churchburn, they're all just so easy to work with. And the Ancient Death, like my sisters and brothers. I mean, so I just was like, you know what? I can't hear anyone else do these songs. I think I, put a special kind of twist on the songs, and I don't think it can be duplicated too easily. Maybe was that intentional or not? I don't really feed into that, but I definitely think that there's a uniqueness to what I brought to the band. And that's based on doing this music. I mean, I've been doing this since 1989. I've been playing in death metal bands since 1989. I was real young. I was only 14, so that's probably why I'm not a guy with a cane sitting here and like I'm ready to die. But it drew me back in pretty quickly, and like there was another drummer, and he was a really good dude. But hearing the material, it wasn't the same. It kind of felt like I was like, I'm needed here, and I wanted to do it as well. It was too much fun to pass up, so I decided to jump back in it.
So, being from a lot of other projects without maybe naming names, did you have another project that was just a mess because you couldn't get along, or there were fist fights, or
Yeah, I mean, I've been through pretty much everything you could ask for. Being stuck in Europe, worried about, all the most miserable things you could think of to some of the best. Just realizing it definitely makes me value good people in your band. And when you have that, hey, to hold on to that, it's important. It's not always easy, when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
You have a lot of big name bands who still to this day can't get along.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. And it's too bad because like we all want Venom to come back. We all want Kronos. We all want Mantis. Everyone wants it. Let's face it. Everyone, right? And they're all healthy. I mean, one dude almost died a couple times. Like it's like no better time than now for Venom to play and just do a couple shows. But it's not happening. It's like impossible, and hopefully someone won't have to pass away for them to say, oh, well, we should have, and I don't want that to happen to me. I'm happy.
I know. And, in the extreme of that, what I always think of in that situation is Black Sabbath, all its separate tables at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I always think to myself, God, I hope it doesn't end up like that. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe not at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but just in general, that they never work it out. I mean, that's such a shame,
Yeah. I mean, it bums me out. I'm sure Jerry will agree with this 100%. It bums me out to not see KK playing with Judas Priest. You know, like he still rules. Like I saw that guy play last year, I think, or the year before with KK's Priest in my hometown, and he did this like solo for like a half an hour standing on like a riser, and he was like the energy was just like so killer, and he was so good, and he's had that much of the tank at that age, you know, is badass. I wish he
Yeah.
was still in Priest, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I read Halfer's book, and we're never gonna know what happened. I mean, I know that KK liked to play golf, and I know he made a joke about it, but I mean, come on, like I don't think we're ever gonna know what actually happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of actually respect that a little bit. Sometimes like they're like that's like a band that's like, hey, I don't need to like, air my grievances and
Right.
all these
Yeah.
things, and it's like that. It's nasty. It's like it doesn't actually do any good in the world. But it's like even though it sucks that like he's not in that band, for example, like we still have those records and we still have all.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
as much as I would love it, it's like, but I kind of respect that they kind of are just, as much as I want them to be together too, like, they're doing their own
Yeah.
thing. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Understood.
I love on this album how you kind of match the tempo shifts from blast beats to kind of more meditative things. And you seem to have this great formula where it dips into both, but it's never excessively into these crazy interludes. Is there a formula that you use to kind of come up with how much of this and how much of that, like a baker making a cake?
yeah, not really. I mean, we don't really think like, hey, this part has to be this whole clean section and this has to be this whole heavy thing. I think just, naturally writing certain material together, it just sometimes things feel like, hey, this dynamic shift feels like it needs to be there. Like as in the moment, a lot of stuff comes from just like jamming it and, together and just figuring out together and challenging each other. And I think that like with that too, I mean, we love all types of music. I mean, from death metal to pop music to hip hop to all sorts of stuff. And I mean, like we're a death metal band through and through at the core. But I think that like these other influences we have kind of, they don't necessarily affect our how we sound, but they affect how maybe we approach music. Like I grew up on the Grateful Dead. Like I'm named after Jerry Garcia. I love Pink Floyd and that more proggy kind of thing and just free flow jam band type thing. So sometimes our music happens like that. I mean, Ray and I have been playing music together for almost 17 years now. So we have like this own language with each other that I don't even have to say anything to him. He just is able to. We just feed off each other. I mean, all of us are like that together.
Especially now.
Oh yeah.
Like I love that question. That was a really good question because, like, from a listener's standpoint, it can be kind of black and white sometimes. Like when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I agree. I think it's mostly from our influences, but also like our experience too.
Mm-hmm.
Like because some of the early tracks on the record, well, some tracks more than others, but there was definitely moments where I did not know what I was going to do and didn't have the time to sit and think about it because I think I had like one day to do the drums because like the engineer's baby had like a 2-year-old or something, and he got like the flu the first day I was supposed to do drums. So like we lost a whole day just from that. So I had to kind of go in with some things and just kind of do them. And there was some pretty perfect moments, I think, on that record due to that, So that's a lot of how we write in a way. I mean, we use a bass and then kind of let our experience do the rest.
Yeah, that's very cool. Now, are you guys all originally from Massachusetts? Because Metal Archives lists you all from Walpole. Is that right?
No, we're not all from Walpole. Jasmine and Ray are both from Walpole. I actually lived in both the town over. That's like my hometown. And then I also lived in Walpole. So when the three of us had kind of started it, it was just us three and our buddy Dave, and so we're kind of based out of that area. But Derek's been a Rhode Island native.
Yeah, I'm a Providence guy. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but now none of us live in Massachusetts at all. So it's kind of funny. But we're still all in New England, so it's still the same thing.
Ray lives down the street now. He's like a mile or two away. And then
Justin and I moved way the fuck away from those two.
Yeah. That's funny.
So, what is the metal scene like? What are your favorite venues to play in? What is the weirdest venue you've ever played at?
Ooh, in terms of just Ancient Death or just in general?
In your general New England area, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, Ralph's Rock Diner is a huge one. That's one of my favorites. Space and Geno's up in Portland, Maine is pretty sick. And now, unfortunately, this venue doesn't exist anymore, but Dusk and Providence was like the venue. It's like the first venue I've ever played, and it kind of gave me my start in live music. The terms of weirdest venues, I played at this place called the Meat Locker in where was that? Was it
New Jersey?
New Jersey? And it's like an underground. It's underground, and you go through these stairs, and you feel like it's like an old butcher place.
Oh wow,
basically.
That's awesome.
And so yeah, I mean, there's a ton of weird venues, I guess, but they all have their own charm and thing, you know. But yeah, like Dusk was the cool one, but yeah, Ralph's Rock Diner is, you know, Kevin Ord that works with the Codex Obscurum. I mean, he's always helped us out and been in our corner. So that place is I've seen so many sick bands there, like Demilic and, you know, Blagantation on their first US tour. Like Kevin had us play that show when in my old band, and pretty sick. But those are my
I would definitely call that my hometown favorite right now is Worcester. It was a place called Dusk in Providence. They were around for 14 years, so there was some staying power, but it had to close abruptly due to like life and people buying buildings and all that. And so, you know, good things come to an end, and it came to an end. But I would say right now, like my favorite place to play would be, hopefully Ancient Death will be there soon, is the TVI in Ridgewood, New York. They got this dude doing sound there. He's in Negative Plane. This guy Bob Nelson, and he is such a good sound guy. And because he plays metal, so he knows exactly what you need. But also like the sound in there, the backstage, just the whole play, the way it's set up, it's just perfect for underground metal. So I highly recommend, if you're ever in the Northeast and there's a show there, you go, because it's just such a good time.
That's great.
You know, as far as weird venues, I can't even think of anything. It's crazy to think that I can't think of the weirdest venue. Like,
I know, right? Like when you're on the spot, it's like, where did it? You know,
I just kind of feel like everything's weird that I do already. So it's kind of hard to nail down the weirdest of weirdness.
I do got to mention in Switzerland, there's Sunset Bar. My buddy Muffy owns that, and it's like it's probably like 100 cap room, but it's like if you feel like you're in a cave, and it's so small, it's intimate, that we had to like have our amps facing towards us, and it was just packed. But it's like in this hotel in this very, very beautiful part of Switzerland, and that was like one of the highlights of shows I think I've ever done. Like it's just awesome. Such a cool promoter and guy, and that place was pretty amazing. So yeah, it's like way over there.
Wait a minute though. I need to jump in and not say, and Jerry knows this because we both played it, MDF, those venues like sounds, Ram's Head rules. Like, even though it sounds like shit on stage, it sounds amazing in the room. I've never like had a place where we thought, oh man, that sounded horrible. Like, and then you listen back and you're just amazed on how good it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we're Baltimore, so we're
in Baltimore.
we're always MDFers, every
Yeah.
year. So
Metro
yeah.
rules too. Baltimore Metro rules. That's a great venue.
Yeah, the Metro Gallery.
Looking
yeah.
forward. There might be some news coming up. We'll see if everything aligns about Baltimore coming up. So we'll see.
yeah,
But, we
Metro's great.
love.
We go back far enough that we remember when they used to actually have MDF all in one place. Like
Yeah,
that was
Yeah.
Edison.
that was up until like around 2012, something like that. Then they started
Yeah.
splintering it because the places started going out of business and changing owners and
Yeah,
stuff. you know.
2013 was the club started adding on and new.
Yeah. So
But we love Hassan, one of the promoters out there. He's a great guy. He helped out Ancient Death a lot when he first started doing shows, and so we're really grateful for Baltimore. It's a killer scene.
that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, Butts McGee too. That
Yeah,
you know,
Butts.
he's-
He's a great promoter. He does Putresect. We love that dude too. He's a great guy. Helps out a lot.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this year already. I may or may not have already bought tickets.
I
but
want to
think
see.
I bought
Yeah,
them
I want to see the big Creator show because
Oh,
last time I
yeah.
saw Creator was like 10 years ago, and it was in some little club with
right.
Destruction. I haven't seen the legendary big screen Creator show yet, so I'm really psyched about
Okay,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I think Derek and I went and saw them with Merciful Fate a couple years ago.
Oh, awesome! Yeah,
And
as good as it gets. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like I could say that
yeah,
when they do the old songs, they sound pretty good. Like
yeah,
I'm not a fan of later era Creator whatsoever, but I think when they would do like a teaser, they did like a teaser of Awakening of the Gods at that
Yeah.
Merciful Fate show, and I was like, oh, that sounds so sick.
yeah.
And then they just went into some random song, and they
yeah, and I know that's gonna happen because
Yeah.
the new
Well-
the kids love the new like Amon Amarth stuff, and
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
it's good that people like the new stuff. But yeah, I want to hear Betrayer and
Yeah,
Terrible
I think
Certainty and all
they're
that
going to
shit,
do
you
all
know?
that exclusively for MDF,
Yeah.
so it'll be
Yeah.
worth going.
It's cool.
And
yeah,
like
it's
having
good.
Ventor too, that's the original drummer. That's pretty sick.
Oh yeah,
He's
Oh,
like
yeah.
in that band still.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw an interview with Millet one time, and they asked him why he didn't play certain songs on Terrible Certainty, and he just said something about the way the guitars are tuned. He could never get them to sound the same live
No,
as they
the
did in the
riffs are
studio.
just too hard. The riffs are
It's
just
just
way
so
too hard.
twisted and jarring and
Yeah.
weird. Yeah, yeah.
Those riffs are so hard to play. Like I don't play them.
Yeah. I remember I put it on for a friend of mine in college when it first came out, and he goes, "Dude, it's like Rain and Blood backwards. What the hell?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, okay, there you go."
Yeah, a lot of my friends don't like that album. I don't know what's wrong with them, but I think it's a riff
man.
factory. It's
Yeah.
so
Oh,
good.
it's
So many
sick.
people
It's a
song.
sick one. Yeah.
So coming back to you guys, I love the track Discarnate, and I love how it bookends with the ocean waves. And the
Yeah.
guitar almost seems to pick up on kind of that motif. Was that kind of the intention behind that? And did you record those waves?
I did. So yeah, that song's about disassociation and just like, you know, just some of the traumas and struggles I've been through and, you know, places I've found myself in. You know, sometimes I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling of just like feeling like you're kind of daydreaming and zoning out and kind of in your own world. And so it was really intentional with the ways where they start because you're in this place and then you get lost in this world. And then you come back at the end of the song, the waves come back because you're still in that same place. So that was very intentional. The waves I actually recorded when I first moved up to Maine and things were starting to change for me a little bit. I went to the beach with my mom, my sister, and Jasmine, and I just kind of had this moment of like, oh my God, my whole life is changing, and you know, I just kind of took in this moment, and I recorded those waves, and yeah, so they're ones that I recorded, and you know, I have like a picture of the four of us together in my room, and it was like a really special day, so yeah, I mean, like that song's actually probably my favorite song, even though it's like, you know, a lot of people might think of it as an interlude. It doesn't really feel that way to me. It feels like you know, just that loneliness sometimes you can find yourself in. So it's one of the most important tracks, I think, because I think it's important to recognize and embrace all the things you experience and all the things you feel. It's part of being a human being. So,
Yeah.
I like the idea kind of discarnate mean being without your physical body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's cool too.
Yeah.
Has any of you ever had a little bit of a paranormal experience with or without a Ouija board?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like I'll share this with you. Like, because I'm living in the same house, which I ended up buying with my girlfriend, which is really amazing that we could do that. But it was like a rental property, blah blah blah. But I had went through a lot of life struggles that people go through, but I had a lot of low lows, and I used to have these dreams like of the color of the room being different, and like it would get these different colors and all this weird shit would happen, and it almost feels like I was like seeing into the future of my life because all these things that ended up happening to me later on, like the room
Wow.
looked the same way as it was in those dreams. So there's my profound experience right there.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
I lived in a haunted house when my parents were still married together,
Wow.
and it's weird. Like I had other family members who had moved in after us, and I guess there's like one I only lived there till I was like 4 or 5 years old, but there's one where I remember seeing this old lady walking at the end of the hallway, and just being like, why is there an old woman in the house? And there's no one there, only my mom and I and my sister were home. And so then my cousin who had moved in years, maybe like right after us, maybe, he had also seen the same woman in that same house. And then there was a time where I don't remember this one, but I guess I was like 2 or 3, and I screamed at the top of my lungs in my room, and my dad ran into the room, and he was like, "What's wrong?" And I pointed to the corner, and I guess I was like, "Oh, there's a little boy in the corner." And my dad's like, "What is he doing?" And I was like, "He's trying to wrestle me." And so my dad like smudged the room, and everything. And then he had talked to the neighbor. He was like this old guy who had lived there like his whole life across the street. And he had asked him, he's like, "Yeah, my son, I had this weird thing and my son screamed and blah, blah, blah." He's like, he's too young to like just make something up like that. And the guy told him, he was like, "Oh, that used to be like a correction center for young boys back in, the 50s." And my dad was just like, "Holy shit." So
Yeah.
we ended up moving out. So, but I mean, there's like, there's so many different things. Like, it's like we're these little things on a planet floating in the universe. So like anything's possible. So I think there's too many coincidences for things to not, be one or the other, or so black and white.
Absolutely.
That's a crazy, weird feeling. My dad had passed, and he was always big Patsy Cline. And I was getting in the car after his funeral, and I always have it on, where I'm hooked up to Spotify. And somehow I hit the radio on, and it was Crazy by Patsy Cline. I was like, all right, Dad.
Yeah.
All right, Dad.
I love that kind of shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, there's so many things like that in life that pop up, and you can't. It's like you try to explain it to somebody, that feeling that you're, it's like it's so real, but you can, but in a way, it's kind of nice that it's just for you, in a weird way. But
That's awesome. So I love Jasmine's vocals, especially on Breathe Transcend. Amazing. When did you realize she had that vocal ability? She's amazing.
So she's really introverted and shy, and I've been friends with her for almost 8 or 9 years or something, and I've seen her in a different light than a lot of people. Like we're really close friends, and she loves singing, but she's always very like quiet about it, like would never really show anyone, and I had heard her singing at one point. We've been like roommates for years, and so I had heard her singing, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And we love a lot of the same music. Like we love like Evanescence and all that stuff, and that's like a huge influence for her. And you know, I'm a huge fan of like Lacuna Coil and all that early stuff from them. But yeah, I don't know. We used to record our rehearsals coming home from you know, from Derek's house, and the two of us would listen back to it and like, you know, critique what we needed to work on and like what might sound better. And I started hearing like, man, like uh, you know, this part's supposed to be an instrumental part of the song, but like I almost hear this like ethereal kind of just angelic voice over everything. Um, and so, yeah, like the night before we went to record, I really was like, you know what, like we should really try this. And we just kind of did it on a whim. I wrote the lyrics that night for her, and you know, came up with the melodies, and we worked on it that night. And I don't know. I feel like if anything, it's like that really like brought our songs from like here to here, you know. And it wasn't an intentional thing of like, hey, we want to sound this kind of way. It was just like what felt natural or what I wanted to hear. And you know, we all love like music with like co-vocalists. Like I've always been a fan of that. Like, you know, Pink Floyd has 3 different vocalists, you know, like back in the day or whatever. It's like Roger, Richard Ray, and David Gilmour. And then, you know, it's like and we're Jasmine and I in particular are huge Linkin Park fans. I love like that contrast of things. They're just different instruments and they do different things. And I felt like our music kind of it felt like it fit, you know, perfectly. It doesn't feel forced, and you know, when you listen to it, I feel like it feels really natural. But man, she killed it. I mean, like it was her first vocal experience ever. She went into the studio. She had never done vocals ever on a recorded music. I mean, this is her first band, so
first thing she ever did. First,
yeah. So
it's one of the high points of the album for sure. Like you really sit up and notice it. It's really awesome.
I mean, like when it hit me at first, I really didn't know what to think right away. But like, I also remembered like, wait a minute, there's a lot of metal records with female vocals that I totally dig. You got like a lot of, you got like Arcanum, Celtic Frost, Gothic, Paradise Lost. I mean, there's so many killer female parts in metal. So I was like, you know what? I need to like take this in and check it out. And like now I can't go without it now. You know what I mean? Like,
what's really cool is like that me, Ray, and Derek were on the other side of the booth with Seth, who had recorded the record, and Jasmine. As soon as she started the vocals, like I remember sitting down on the couch and all 3 of us like looked at each other, and like Ray was crying. He was just like, oh my God, this is
I believe it. Yeah.
Like, and they had never heard her before. Like I was the only one that had heard her sing. So they were like, holy shit, we're doing this. And as soon as she like started it, that like, I just remember distinctly looking at the 2 of them, and, you know, we're all just like sobbing and like, oh man, like, holy fuck, this feels like it's perfect. You know?
Yeah. I just feel like it was also like taking a risk sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's so easy to just hold on to like the same formulas that work all the time. And this band is cool because it's like we're keeping each other on our toes, you know, and it's just a different way to go about things that I'm used to. And I've very much embraced that. And I kind of feel like it's a big catalyst of keeping us enthusiastic about the material going forward as well.
It's cool to see her like also break out of her shell, you know, like I was saying, like, you know, being kind of shy and introverted. Like now she's singing live with me. She also does death metal vocals with me too. She does like all the lows at shows. And to like see her like start to like flourish and really like find her own identity and stuff through creating music together. It's like really, really amazing to see as a friend. And, you know, it's like, and that's the whole thing. It's like, you know, we just want to create amazing art together. And
I would say most bands too, like if you had a bunch of people that had experience and been doing this music for a while, and then you put someone that's new to a band and they don't produce a certain amount, usually you go to the next person, right? You know, well, instead we did the opposite. We're like, you know what? Like, we're gonna she can do this because we saw the potential, So we're like, we're gonna stick with her, and I'm so glad we did that because
really
we
cool.
she created a beast that is a whole part of the band. You know what I mean? Where a lot of people wouldn't give anyone that chance. If you're not doing a certain amount for a band, that's it. You got to find the person to do that. And we decided that she was too important we had to let her grow with us.
Yeah. I mean, she even like helps. Like I write all the lyrics, but she'll like proofread them for me before I even like show the guys everything. And
good.
You know, it's like, and she'll be like, this doesn't work as much, and like this doesn't work. And because she doesn't have the same like musical background as us, like she learned bass specifically to play in the band. It's like she comes from such a different perspective that not a lot of bands get, and it's really cool to see like, where she'll critique certain things and she'll be like, I don't like that riff, that doesn't sound good to me as a listener. And I'll be like, okay, like, and I'll just keep writing, and she'll be like, that riff sounds good. And she'll like really pull, be honest about things. And so I mean, but all four of us, I mean, in our own way, like we bring different things to the band, and as a collective, like we all share this same kind of vision of just writing ripping death metal, like that's like, we just enjoy playing music together, and we're best friends, so it's like that's a the music's a plus, on that. Like, it just the four of us hanging out is like just amazing. I'm really lucky to play with such amazing people.
Yeah, we hung out, shared the new year together, and just hung out, good friends, enjoying that. And it's cool to see the progress we've made in such a short amount of time. Some people, they can't do that in 20 years, and it's really cool to see this happening. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to point out I was a big fan of the kind of extra long song titles because I like me some, like you said, some Demolic, and I like Inquisition,
The 14
the surreal altar celebrating forever the ultimate power of Satan. Part one, I love all that. So
weight of water.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, did you guys have it planned that way from the beginning, or is like the long titles, was that just who came up with that as part of the deal?
I came up with all the titles. Yeah, it's interesting because like on the first, like on Sacred Vessel, everything's really short.
Right.
It's for the most part. I don't know. They just those those titles kind of just worked for me. Like I'm aware of like, hey, metal has like these really long titles
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff, but I wasn't really thinking so much of like, oh, am I paying homage to this or that? It was more just like, this is what the title feels like to me. This is what we're trying to convey as a song and as a band. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, most of the lines are usually in the song for, like they're like a line that will sometimes pop in my head. Like, usually like the titles usually come up last. Like I'll have a certain thing I'm thinking about or a feeling or emotion that I, want to convey. And usually like I'll write these lyrics down, and then I'll just pick a line that really kind of sums up everything. That's usually my approach, but yeah, I mean, we're working on new stuff now. And I mean, Jasmine came up with a song title, and she's working on stuff. And so it's really cool to, have that. But the long titles are, yeah, Demolic is like the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, that rules.
But they're not like complicated things. Like, like I think that's like maybe, even though it's a subconscious thing, maybe it's a little bit of a conscious thing of like, hey, like, like we have an easy band name. Like Ancient Death is really easy to say. It's not some crazy, thing. It's like Ego Dissolution's pretty easy to say. Like, I mean, it's not like we're actively trying to do that, but to market it to anything. But, we're just, writing
of
what
course
we're
not.
writing about. So
what I also love about you guys, about like, especially like a Breed Transcend, you kind of have a little bit of smooth jazz moments in there. Does anyone have jazz backgrounds?
Uh, Maybe Ray the most. I mean, Ray took some theory in high school, and I mean that he's such an insane player. Like he's constantly pushing the envelope of like what he knows, and I mean he was always working on bluegrass material and old country stuff, and he can like do all the finger picking, hybrid picking stuff, and I feel like if anything, he really brings those kind of elements to us a little bit. In
Definitely.
particular. I mean, I personally like am a fan of jazz and some stuff. Like I love like Miles Davis, like a tribute to Jack Johnson and Mahavishnu New Orchestra and all that, and
Yeah.
Al Di Meola. But like I as much as I love that stuff, I never really like set out to learn it. Like I was more of like the Floyd kind of kid and Sabbath and all that stuff. But but I would say like he kind of brings that element to it. Like he kind of as a guitarist, like he's always like we've always tried to. It's like a friendly brother competition. Like we since we were like 11 or 12, we've always tried to one up the other. Like what we could do, and but I think that's what makes us work so well. And as at least in terms of the guitar, is like we have different things. Like he's really technically proficient and like just he just I don't know. He has his own sound, but I also feel like I sort of have my own thing and I play these more melodic things. But I think those things kind of just happen naturally too, though. Like it wasn't like, hey, let's add this element to it. It was more just like, hey, this is what I wanted. This is what I think I can bring to the table, and and
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I played in roots music bands for about 10 years. I played upright bass and tried to learn different things. And it wasn't because I didn't like metal anymore. It just I wanted to expand like my knowledge of being a musician because I've always been a musician and there was something missing. So I kind of dove into that for 10 years, just learning dynamics. And I took a lot of the drumming into a lot of those parts that are a lot more clean and brought a little more dynamic, which you don't really hear in metal. Metal's usually like pretty, it's either
Yeah.
all the way or nothing. And so having some dynamic, it brings a little bit of a original twist to, modern shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
hopefully that resonates a little bit, but
I mean, it's like even like there's a lot of groove I think in our record. A lot of that stems from like uh, being a huge like Deftones fan and stuff like that. And there's like in particular like Chi Chang's bass playing for me at least. Like when I write riffs and stuff, like I used to like watch all those live shows from like 97, 98, like that around the Fur era, and it's just so like reggae-ish and just dubby and like over this like really heavy, intense music. But I feel like it kind of in terms of like when I'm writing rhythms and stuff, like they kind of that's a huge influence. And I think like, when we play stuff like Jasmine in particular, like she's not following us a lot of the time. Like she's playing these rhythms that lock in with Derek. And it's like almost like, like people probably won't pick up on it, but it's like, I like even like Bjork's second record, like Post, like there's all these really huge, like rhythm kind of like heavy things. And it's like kind of that's what's like moving the song forward. And I feel like we have that kind of underlying always in that. So even though we're playing technical stuff, like there's always some sort of thing like, it's like I want to shake my ass to it, if I'm listening to something that's like, like I like that's what if people are feeling that, like that's what for me at least what moves me musically is like, do I feel it, But
I'm kind of I'm always an album listener. I'm kind of an old school rather than pick and choose. And I love every time in the car when I have on Journey to the Inner Soul and it kind of ends so quietly. And then Echoing Chambers just goes, I jump scare literally every time. Uh, do you think that this album, people could get more from it from listening to it from start to finish rather than picking and
oh yeah,
choosing tracks?
absolutely. I mean, it was for me like I sequenced most of the songs, and everyone had a part in it, but I was saying earlier, like I'm a huge vinyl listener and collector, and I always love, like, I've always just been like, I'm like the last generation of millennial going into Gen Z. Like I'm right in that cusp, like I'm a cusper. And so I grew up on just listening, like I bought CDs as a little kid and like pre huge internet boom. So that's what I listened to. Like I would spend my money on a CD, and if I liked it or not, it didn't matter. Like that's what I was forced to listen to. And, I would start to develop this like love for things I hated when I started hearing them. But for me, it was really important to have like something that was like start to finish. Like what do we want to express? And that's not to like diss on people that like put out songs or have particular songs that are like really amazing. Like if someone only likes one song from a record, that's okay. Like I'm okay with that. But for me, I feel like it's meant to be listened front to back, and so I definitely feel the same as you for sure with that. Like listening to Pink Floyd records, I'd just start them and listen to the very end and would replay it again, like and that's with us, like that's the intention with our record. It's like this is the order of the songs, this is how the vibe goes. In a live setting it's different. Like the songs have a different breath, I guess, when we play them live. So things flow differently. And we're also changing as people. So, but yeah, I hope if anyone like enjoys our record, like they listen to it front to back and know that that's the intention.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Well, let me just say that to close out the smooth jazz conversation. The last Imperial Triumphant album had Kenny G on it, and I think I think it was
yeah.
it was some kind of a studio in the same studio at the same time. So I've had a lot of fun this year with their new album, complaining online and saying, "No Kenny G, what the hell am I supposed to listen to at the dentist when it comes to death metal?"
That's great.
Yeah, I'm wearing like a Cryptopsy shirt, but like I've toured with those guys and stuff, but like they have like Billy Strings doing solos and stuff on their stuff.
I think nowadays something I can say is that I've never thought would happen is like I think mostly any person now can like whatever it is. Like they're going to metal shows, they're going to like all different things. Kids are buying all different types of music, and they're just enjoying everything. Like, you'll see a bunch of like party train girls going to a metal show, and they'll go to a disco techno rave. There's no more like compartmental.
Yeah, like this is this clique or
which like that wasn't like that at all.
No. Even when I was in school and stuff, like more middle school than high school, but like in middle school, like I remember I was like really, no, I guess high school too. Like I was like huge into metal and I liked all sorts of stuff, but it was like, oh, Jerry's like the metal kid out of our school. So I kind of like, but it was like, I like all this other stuff too, So
like we are those people. And, but I think it's like, most people, even if they don't like metal, you'll be like, but I like going to see it live. I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not really into that, but I'll go to a show because it's fun to watch, And those are things you just never thought you'd see in my. I didn't think I'd catch that in this life,
Even aesthetically too. Like there's like people who don't even play metal music that have like metal logos and all this stuff. Yeah. But it's like it's one of those things of like I don't know, like I'll see some people like, oh well, I used to listen to this before it was huge, and like Metallica on Stranger Things or something. They're like, oh, I'm a huge Metallica fan, and I actually listen to Metallica. But it's like, hey, like there's a whole new generation of kids that get into this thing. Isn't that what the point is? Is like don't you want more people to like the thing that you like? And so like that's never made sense to me. So I feel like we've always been like very open to like, hey, I like all these things, and like if you like any of it, then fuck yeah. So like even if someone doesn't like metal or anything like that, if they pick something out of our music, like
oh yeah,
that means the world to me. It's like like it's awesome, like that's cool.
It's like I could like authenticate shirts from like 1990 that kids, or like if a kid's on a podcast talking about a certain thing, I could tell him everything that he's wrong about, because I was actually there for it,
Yeah.
But it's cool to have that badge of honor, knowing that you live, like that was my life. Still is, like it's not a cash or a sellout thing.
No,
yeah. I'm definitely a lifer. I think this band is definitely lifers when it comes to doing what we do.
Yeah. All right. Well, we play a game on the show. It's I think you guys will like it. It's called Blaspheming Monikers. Okay.
Sick.
And here's how it goes. All right. So there's 5 band names in front of me. One of them is not real. So I'm going to give you guys these 5 bands, and you try to guess which one of these is not a real band.
Okay.
So.
Season 2 coffee mug on the line.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Right. Move the merch. Right. Okay. All right. Anti-God Hand. Levokithia. Oh, I'm sorry. Levkothia's Hand. Dead Slow Hand. Steel Bearing Hand. And Handgun Sex Bucket. So we went with hand for all of them. I'll read them again.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. Anti-God Hand. Levkothia's Hand. Dead Slow Hand. Steel Bearing Hand. And Handgun Sex Bucket. One of them's not real.
I really hope the hand sex gun bucket is a real band.
What was the one? It was like Dead Slow God. What was it?
Yeah.
Dead Slow Hand is the
Like
third
Dead
one. Yeah.
Slow Hand. I'm gonna go with that not
Yeah.
being a band because
Yeah,
that's
give
like
me
the
Dead
dumbest
Slow
name
Hand.
ever. I'm sorry if they're good people, but it's real.
No, they're real. They're real. They're from
Oh,
Czechia
man.
and they're black metal. Like I
that's-
thought it was like a anti Eric Clapton thing. I was like, all right, so
man.
dead Eric
I
Clapton.
don't
What?
do that guy, but that's a rough
Yeah.
deal.
So that leaves Anti-God Hand, Levkothia's Hand, Steel Bearing Hand, and Handgun Sex Bucket.
I like Handgun Sex Bucket. I think that's
Oh man, I don't know. They all sound like they could be band names. I mean, I guess 3 of them are. I don't know. Probably the first one. I don't know.
It reminds me of this band in Providence. They were called the Impotent Sea Snakes, and it's like one of those names, Like, so good.
All right, so you're gonna guess the first one? The first one?
Anti-God Hand.
All right. Now they're real. They're from Vancouver and they play black metal. They have 2 full lengths, so they've been around for a while.
Wow, that's crazy. I never heard of any of these. Never heard of any of those.
Yeah, we're sucking hard, dude.
Yeah, we're posers.
Oh, you want to try one more? All right, so that leaves Levkothia's Hand, we did Dead Slow Hand. Levkothia's Hand, Steel Bearing Hand, and Handgun Sex Bucket.
Is Handgun Sex Bucket the fake name?
Oh no, that's a real band name. That's got to be.
You say that was real?
Come on.
Yeah, they're real. They're actually a new band. They're Doom from the Netherlands. They just put out their first demo. Yeah.
Goddamn.
Keep it up. Whoever
their ticket is stamped.
Yeah,
they are ready.
They're in. You know what I mean?
We're gonna get it wrong, but is it still Bearing Hand?
No, they're real too. They're thrash from Texas. Yeah. So the one I made up was Levkothia's Hand. They're not real.
I feel
Because,
some
like,
kind
you know
of
what
Greek
it
god
is?
or something.
No,
Just
you know how
Yeah.
people like name stuff that doesn't make any sense? Like that's such a thing right now. It's
Yeah,
been for a few years. So when you said that other name, I would not think that wouldn't be a real band because people they're naming bands that don't even make sense now.
that people can't even say or.
Yeah, good job.
Right.
Anyway. Yeah.
All right, so I know I had one more burning question about Violet Light Decay. You have so many amazing guitar gymnastics on that one. What was the kind of hardest thing for you to learn? Is that viola screeching riffs or the tremolos or that noodly squealing solo that shreds for days?
Musically, the song was one of the easiest ones to come up with. Like it came up really quickly. Ray and I had just finished writing Ego Dissolution together in my room, and we're like, cool. We have all these like really fast-paced songs, and we had just had like this really like deep personal conversation that we hadn't really had since we were teenagers, probably. And he went home, and I wrote the song while he was on his way home, and I sent it to him, and he was like, "Whoa!" And I think the hardest part though was the lyrics. I mean, the lyrics. I don't want to share too much, but like the first verse comes from like a suicide note that I had written when I was like a young kid, and so that I that's up like a part of my life that I wanted to not necessarily share, but just like let others know that like, hey, like I've also been through these really tough times in life, and but I felt like writing the lyrics, it really showed a different side of myself that I was like kind of afraid to show a little bit. But the I'd say that's the hardest part for sure. But like the album ends on like a really positive note. It's like taking all these things you've experienced through this ego dissolution and dissecting yourself and trying to like disattach yourself from this from yourself and finding that like, hey, it's okay to actually be who you are.
Yeah.
That was like
And that's really cool. You made something positive out of that. I think that's great.
yeah. And like life is tough. It's like we all go through shit, and but I'd say that that song in particular, musically, it's not the hardest one. It's one of my favorite songs I've ever written for sure. But lyrically, I think that's the toughest one. And when I sing it live, like I don't even feel like I'm there. Like it's
Wow.
I'm really proud of that song. I think we did a really great job with it, and I think a lot of people, the people that do like our band and record, I think that's the one that seems to be connecting with people. So I'm really grateful for that.
That was like the first song that we worked out as like a four.
As a full band too. Yeah.
Permanent on a permanent scale, I think too. Like that was like, all right, this is the band, and then that was like the first song we did, I think. So it's
it is cool too because it's changed things. Like on our demo version, like I sing it all just brutal death vocals, and there's different things. There's a fretted bass on it, and then on our studio, like on the album version, like I whispered the first verse. It was like so personal and so like kind of scary to say. So I whispered, and I we tried different things. I think the solos were a little. I forget if the solos were different. I haven't even heard the demo since we recorded it. Probably
to say that one.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, that song is absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
I'm really proud of that one.
Well, I noticed you guys don't have any videos out yet, and I was just wondering if there were any ideas that you had, or like you picked any, talked about any that could eventually be videos.
We have one for Sacred Vessel. We have like Celestial Beings. We have nothing for the album, which we've discussed videos. That's something that I definitely want to do in the future for sure. Yeah. Maybe not with this record. It didn't feel like any of the songs really needed a video. We just kind of wanted the music to speak for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of think too, we're all real particular about visuals.
Yeah.
Like, I think I could speak for everyone on this one for sure. But we're not a big fan of like lyric videos at all. Like we don't like that. I think it just gives too much away. It's kind of like a buzzkill. It just takes the imagination out of a video. I understand it's death metal. People want to know what you're saying. Like I get that. Like from a record label standpoint, trying to market a product, and people want to see the lyrics, But I think that we all come from a little more authenticity, which I really appreciate about this band. Like we're all pretty authentic about what we're doing, and we want to have like if we're gonna make a video, we want it to be very like aesthetically matching to our So
and we definitely like we're gonna do something like that. Like we want the songs to speak for themselves. If anything, if we're gonna do a video, we don't want to do it just to do it. Like we want it to elevate it to another point to maybe get something else across. I mean, like we have like some live stuff on YouTube and all that, and it's really cool, like that aspect, because like visuals are a huge part of our identity.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but I think just with Ego Dissolution, because it's such a personal record, I feel like it's more for like the listener to listen to and put themselves in that rather than like see all this stuff. Like it's like meant to be a very I don't want to say alienating place, but it's like trying to look it within yourself and
Yeah. Like I kind of feel like one of the last of the Mohegans when it comes to like visuals and music and metal especially was like Neurosis. I don't know if you ever remembered, but their visual show was just absolutely perfect. You know, they really took the feeling of their music and put it into a visual show. And it was very well put together, very like raw film footage, very like just vintage looking, just perfect. And hopefully, we can incorporate some of that into our songs,
yeah,
create something a little bigger than just something to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand. I mean, from a neurosis standpoint, I mean, I could talk for hours about them, but I mean, we have a phrase that Stace and I use. We call it the neurosis high colonic. So, and here's how it works, right? So my daughter's like a hippie chick, and
Yeah.
she wanted me to make her a playlist of all like alt rock stuff from when I was growing up, like,
Mousy Star.
Mazzy Star and shit like that. So I
Yeah.
did. And then I couldn't get these Indigo Girls songs out of my head. Like it was like a disease. So I listened to Neurosis for 5 straight hours and it purged it
Fair enough.
out. So that's so I call that the Neurosis high colonic. If you can't get a pop song out of your head, just do like 5 straight Neurosis albums and it'll clean you out real quick.
I had to do that to get
Yeah,
Jingle Bell
dude.
Rock out of my head this year.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
thank you, Steve Von Till, for that. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Legendary.
Legendary for a reason.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I wanted to ask you also, so oh actually what I wanted to comment was I think it's great that your attitude towards videos is great. We've interviewed a lot of bands that are on, I guess, somewhat larger extreme labels, and they're at a point in their career, especially if they've got quite a few albums under their belt. You'll hear them say,
They have to.
yeah, like we'll say we like the video, and they're surprised. They're like, yeah, it turned out good. We had a week to do it because they said we need a video from you by next Friday,
And they gave them some kind of period costumes. They were like, go with it.
or they had to run to the store and get chains. Remember that story? Yeah. So I mean,
Go to Home Depot and
so
get a
yeah,
bunch of chains.
it's not unusual for us to say we like a
Good
video
job
and have
out
them
there.
go,
Cheaper there. Yeah.
yeah.
For sure.
So well, the label made us do it, and we had 2 weeks. So we're glad you like it because we were under the gun.
Oh, totally
Yeah.
understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like what's nice working with like Chris at Profound. Like he doesn't, he doesn't. He's not like you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. He just kind of lets us do our thing and like really pushes us to just express ourselves in the way that we want to express ourselves. I mean, it's been an absolute amazing experience working with him. Like, it's like
Super smooth.
everything that we do with this band is what we want to do, and just the four of us, what we decide, and he kind of just like supports us in that. So we're like really grateful for that.
Yeah. And especially being in like a lot of the positions of full-time bands where like they gotta kind of make those decisions of, hey, we gotta do this. And that's totally understandable nowadays, especially now more than ever. Making a living is very hard. But hopefully the authenticity will give us the freedom to like be a little more like, protective of what we value in the material we put out, so I guess all these things are really important for us, because we want staying power, of course, but
yeah.
we also want, to make, we want to make our mark and be able to do it without struggling.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I know you want to be able to take your time, but you don't want to be like, I remember like reading Guitar Player in like the early 2000s, and they asked like Eric Johnson, why did it take you 9 years to write this album? And he would say, well, for 3 years, I was working with out of phase wiring, and that was his only answer. And I remember feeling so sorry for everyone else in his band, just like, I don't,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. That's a
I
little bit on the other extreme, you know.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned him because I actually used his picks
Wow.
for our
Okay.
band, like the Eric Johnson Jazz Threes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
You guys
like
love
Ray
those.
Ray and I worshipped
The
him
little
like
red ones.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
little.
He wins the award for sprinting from the stage to his van faster than anyone I've ever seen. I saw him
Crazy.
in Philly twice, and both times it was like, we are not getting any autographs tonight. This is not
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
knew he was
Oh man.
trained. Yeah.
Yeah, what a monster of a player. Oh
Well,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah,
Yeah.
really.
So you guys had opened, I guess, about a year or so ago for Coffins from Japan. What was that experience like?
I want to start this one off.
Yeah, you man.
So like that band is so killer, and I've been listening to them for a long time. Um, and when we had the show, and it was really good. This organizer, John Morris, he does great shows in the Portland, Maine area. Pretty much everything good he does. He plays in Come to Grief too. It's a great band. Um, so they everyone you're doing your sound check, you're setting up stuff, and we're standing in and setting up some shirts, and one of the guys comes up and he's like, "Hey, can I get a photo with you?" And I'm like, "Sure." And I didn't know what was going on. And he goes, "You were in Corinne." And I was like, with so it was a band for I was in with Jesse Leach before Killswitch Engage in the 90s. And in Japan, there's like this huge scene for all that. And
Oh
so
wow.
it was just crazy that they were like, I haven't heard that mentioned ever. You know what I mean? And I was floored. I couldn't believe it. He was like, "Oh, they like really like obsessed about the Worcester bands in '95." Like that whole like
Okay.
espresso bar scene and like
Okay.
pre-metalcore. Like
Right. Okay.
the
Right. Yeah.
infancies
Yeah.
of it. Like, and because I was like kind of a part of that, even though I'm not really proud to say that. But like the bands that I was in were really killer, and it was a cool time. And I do love that era, that time that I had with them. But they loved that, and I just thought that was so interesting.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so props to them for bringing that up. It was quite the surprise.
They followed I think it was like MDF 2010 or something. They followed Ghoul, and Ghoul had done just Splatterthash had just come out, and they did the whole with the parts and the acting and the monsters and
Yeah,
everything. And
yeah,
then Coffins came out right after them and just destroyed the place. It was like they were like feral animals, like just
Yeah,
I'd never seen anything like it. Yeah.
yeah,
they're so insane. I mean, like they're really sweet guys too, and I mean, they were just like so welcoming, and it's like even though they're on our turf, kind of, and it was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
really, really such an amazing show. Also, like it was like for me, it was like one of my favorite shows I think we've ever played. We often go through these spurts of time where we don't rehearse at all. Like we'll play a show and then I'll go on tour with Atheist, and Derek does stuff with Crucimentum or Church Burn, and Ray's doing Metriphagy, and we're all kind of doing our own thing. And then we're like, oh shit, the show's this week. We haven't even played together in 3 months. And so that show was one of those times where I think we hadn't played in like 5 months or something like that, maybe 6. And we just did the show, and it was one of our best shows. And
yeah,
that's not to sound pretentious, but it was just like our chemistry together really
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
transcends it. So like we played things differently, but it like worked really well. And
Mhm.
I mean that show was packed. It was insane.
Awesome.
It
Yeah,
was really cool to play with such a sick ass band like Coffins.
yeah. Hopefully it'll happen again.
Yeah, seriously. Maybe in Japan.
So you have a headlining show coming up in March. How much rehearsing are you going to throw together for that one?
Probably
We got a
not.
lot.
Okay.
Maybe one or two before. Yeah, we'll probably do a little bit of preparation. Like half of us are here, so we'll probably do that a little bit. Like me and Ray will probably go over some stuff while Jerry and Jasmine go, and kind of work some stuff out beforehand. That's kind of what we do a little bit as well. So that tends to
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. I mean, that show's gonna be. I'm so stoked for that show, and again, like Kevin Ord has been absolutely amazing and to work with, and he's always been like one of our number one supporters, and so he always delivers the best shows in New England, in my opinion.
Yeah, so Worcester, Mass, Ralph's Rock Diner, mostly every epic show there is this same individual. So
Yeah.
anyone out there, like he's done Immolation at the small venue. He's done Primordial. I mean, he's done these bigger scale bands in small, intimate place. We can go downstairs and get a burger and hang out at the bar. It's a total metal bar. It just rules.
Yeah. And they do like outdoor shows during the summer now, and it's like, which they never used to do. That's like a newerish thing, and it's a really good energy and vibe there. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Do you have any post-show rituals? We're talking to Jeremy and Taylor Nordberg, and they said they always go to Taco Bell. I was shocked. I was like, okay.
I mean, we have some of us have pre-show rituals. Like Ray and I will get really high, and Jasmine will drink a lot of beers. But afterwards, I mean, like for us, like we just love hanging out and stuff. We love meeting people and meeting our fans. And I mean, that's like one of the coolest things for us is just establishing this connection with people. And, I'll like finish singing, we'll get off stage and I'll like run to the merch booth or one of us will. And I'm like, oh, like breathing, like having trouble breathing just from singing so much. And, and just like talking to people. And
we're kind of the anti-ritual pre-anything. Like we don't warm up. None of us warm up.
No,
like
no warm up.
I just go up and start playing the songs. I feel like I die at the end. I'm always like full of sweat, just like breathing heavy, feeling like I just like ran a marathon or something. Like
the Lars masseuse at the end, right?
Yeah. I gotta start doing more.
Don't we all, right? Yeah.
More pre-show rituals. I gotta start doing more of that because
no tea and honey, for your vocals.
Yeah.
I should. I don't think you do that at all, Jerry. We just go.
No. We just go straight to it. I mean, there's shows where I'm so focused on just like setting up my gear that I forget about like water and all that shit. So I won't have like water or anything for the show, and I'm just like. And then and I'm just like whatever.
Like if I'm touring, I'll do a little more of that.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's funny because like I feel like we actually like sometimes we hang out together, but sometimes we don't. Like we'll do our own thing, and it's like I'll just be off in my own world, hanging out with whoever, and then it's like, oh shit, we got to go on stage, and I'll set up and do my thing, and then. But we do always have a moment, I feel like right when we finish where we all look at each other and we kind of just give the eyes of approval of like, hey, like, I love you guys. This was fun, like, and we, it's like, even if things happen like that are mess ups or technical difficulties, like we all know that we love this band and like are trying our best. So it's like, we never leave a show being like negative or anything like that. It's like, hey, this is a cathartic thing for us. Like we're feeling and having a great time. So the fact that we're even here in the first place is like a blessing, Like,
I would say like the only thing that I know I do this and I'll think I did a shitty job or something. I'll be like, oh man, like I'll be all bummed. Yeah. I'll be like, oh, I didn't think it was that good. And then like we'll start watching the clips. I'll be like, that sounds killer. I'll be like, how the fuck? Like, how? Like.
But we're like our biggest critics too, Like we take our music really serious. We know how hard we work to perform these songs, and so it's like when stuff happens, we're like in that moment, it's like, fuck, I fucked the whole thing up. But it's like really only a second or two of a whole entire, 30 to 40-minute show. And it's like, we're human, like that shit happens. But sometimes it actually works out well. Like we'll place things in like accidentally a different timing sometimes, and it just like works because of and I think that like goes back to how Derek and I record initially with those songs. It's like we're in that moment how we feel. So live it's the same deal. Sometimes it changes a little bit, but we, I don't know, I think it works really well.
I mean, music is a danger in a lot of ways because you got these in-ear monitors, you got everyone playing to a click now live, and that's the spontaneity of music to me. Like, I want to hold on to that as long as I can because I kind of feel like that's what makes bands unique is that ability to adapt to each other.
Yeah,
And
in
the
that moment.
more that technology comes in, it's very useful for a lot of things, helping keep people's tempos in line. I get it. Like, I'm not trying to knock that, but I kind of feel like that's the special part of what we do, that we're just like wearing that as a badge of honor for sure.
Well, we definitely hope to catch you out there on the road. Love to catch you live. Hope to hear some good news about coming down this way.
That'd be great.
No.
Yeah,
We'll be
keep
there.
an eye out
Keep
for
your ears open.
hopefully for the summer. We'll see.
The sounds of decay!
Okay, Sounds of Decay 1.
This is Tria Prima with the Mortificatio. What do you get when you mix old school death metal tenets with cinematic flair, medieval church organs, a little doom, a dash of modern hooks? You might assume that this chemistry experiment requires at least a passing knowledge of alchemy, possibly a robe, a candle, and maybe a well-thumbed copy of the Necromancer. Fortunately for us, Tria Prima burst into the scene to glowing reviews, schooling listeners in the foundational texts of alchemy's unholy trinity: sulfur, mercury, and salt.
Now, a mere 11 months later, they return, burners ablaze, beakers bubbling, and Ukrainian fires still very much lit, with their very first full-length album. This time, the chemistry lesson focuses on something far more volatile: death itself. Mortificatio is an alchemical term describing the moment a life-organizing identity collapses, an ego dissolution, a loss of self. It's the point where something breaks down completely so it can transform into something else. Maybe that's your souffle collapsing. Maybe it's a toxic ex. End of Stranger Things depression. Retirement shock. Your boss expecting overtime with no extra cha-ching. Your crypto mining scheme going belly up. Or turf toe. The alchemists didn't bother with nuance, they simply called it death. On their full-length debut, we get 7 tracks to chew on, all hovering in the 5 to 6 minute range, just enough time to crack the shell and emerge from the chrysalis, plus some guest collaborations to further thicken the spell.
Some standout moments arrive early on, like in the title track, Mortificatio, which opens up on an unexpectedly uber-funky throwback bass line, reaching all the way back to Geezer Butler territory. A wah pedal emblazoned bass solo slips and slides over a back-hanging synth note, courtesy of surly Didi Bondar, setting off an off-kilter, ritualistic mood. An ethereal, ghostly floats overhead, soon flanked by the spattering blast beat assault of Yurli Satinsky, which resurfaces mid-track like a second summoning. Guitar riffs bunch and crunch in a hurry as Ruslan Hiratuta's voices roam from grinding growls to tinnitus-inducing shrieks.
Anira Starr, who frankly should be handed a keytar and inducted into the band permanently, sails her light, sugary vocals through the mix, creating a striking contrast rather than softening the impact. Suddenly, the song detonates into a guitar shred solo of impossibly rapid, violent precision, complete with Trip the Light fantastic harmonies from guest Evanglay Maestro and Ruslan, who snarls, "Mortificatio, open the gate, rise from the ashes, defy your fate," stacking voices like a legion of freshly summoned demons. Starr mirrors his darkness with a lighter register that still feels unmistakably invocational. A brief interlude follows, dappled drums over tenuous, eerie synth lines as Starr slips into Latin, caressing the dead language back to life, invoking, fittingly, death itself. Your Honor, id quod mortum, nunc oritur, hoc quod cicidit, nunc ravitur. In other words, that which is dead, now rise. That which has fallen, now return. I know that was terrible. Anyway. Off-center guitar squelches buzz and ride as Ruslan unhinges into a yowl. The bass strokes a diabolical dirge, and the guitar spirals out of control until the blast beats snap everything back into a state of orderly chaos once again.
Let's play a clip. This is Mortificatio.
The
Another highlight is Transmutatio, which is most famously referenced the elusive Philosopher's Stone, alchemy's holy grail, the quest to turn base metals into gold. About as common as that whole water into wine thing. It opens with ominous organ chords reminiscent of toccata and fugue in D minor, dialed back just enough to feel restrained, but still profoundly hair-raising. The vocals boom in with a croak and a growl as the organ gives way to full-tilt, mud-caked guitar riffs from Here to Suta. Witunsky peppers the space with cymbal strikes that flash like heat lightning before shattering into blast beats. Then the organ returns, pure vintage horror film score draped over the metallic surge until the time period fusion is complete. Welcome to the anti-church of death metal. The vocals turn caustic as bear mace, with an extra layer of vitriol supplied by guest vocalist from Trevor Nadir from Sadist. The organ chime dissolves into otherworldly ah-ooh-ah vocal textures as the drum continue their breakneck pummel and the guitars stutter, crunch, and spill more noodles than an overturned cup of ramen. One of the track's most addictive moments comes when Bonder's bass locks into a repeated descent, trenching itself beneath the surging guitars and creating an entrancing hypnotic groove as the track barrels towards its end. Fingers seem to arc with static electricity, flying so fast across the fretboard they practically spark, while the percussive assault refuses to let up. The guitars finally shift into an electric hum that waxes and wanes, morphing into something like a shrieking viola as the vocals uncork and the transmutation completes.
My personal favorite is the riff-dense yet fiery Arcanum 6, a nod to the tarot's card of indecision and the brutal tug-of-war between love and desire, something anyone who's ever opened a dating app can instantly relate to. The track opens on a glow of worldless ahs, over which a heart-rending guitar melody blooms before detonating into a note-stuffed shred as hoarse scream tears through the brief tranquility. A searing solo, likely courtesy of guest shredder Evenly Maestro, sizzles like a branding iron. The drums lock into a fast gallop, all pounding hooves and relentless thud, as Ruslan gargles vocals and unleashes cavernous low-end balls.
Between verses, the percussion drops into a nervous, pacing pitter-patter, while the guitars pull back into a slower, more languid phrases. These motifs resurface mid-track beneath Ruslan's growls, flanked by mid-trot snare pops that keep the tension taut. The result is both thrashy and doomy, a perfect call to a slow-pit churn. Ruslan bellows, the wheel spins, the hourglass falls, angels whisper, demons call, the lover's card, the secret fate, before everything suddenly drops out. What remains are mood ring blue synths, heartbeat like caffeine-filled snare smacks, and that wandering guitar line, circling the listener as the chariot wobbles. Mortificatio might be a kind of death, but not an ending, rather a necessary transformation into something a little less egocentric, and potentially far more powerful. The same can be said of Trio Prima, who've chosen to weave old-school death metal with doom and dungeon synths into a sound that's deliberate, distinctive, and fully their own. They're in the business of building their own brand. Transformation is happening there, too. They're reshaping the metal landscape. Best to watch closely, and maybe keep a candle handy.
Sorry, I was screwing this review up a little bit. I had a little bit too much cheese and whatever Stace made for dinner, and I'm suffering from a little bit of constipatio. At any rate, let's play Arcanum 6.
Oh,
Sounds of Decay 2.
Ligation, After Gods. In typical Snaggletooth fashion, we plunge into 2026 with zero hesitation to explore an all but brandy new Finnish three-piece Doom Death moniker, Ligation. Their debut EP entitled After Gods includes 3 bonus tracks from previous splits, giving us a very full-length adjacent listen, fueled by 41 plus minutes of filthy old-school death metal swirled with doom death and a couple of experimental nods to noise metal for good measure. It's caustic, horrifying, and hairy as it gets, and I'm just talking about the logo at this point. The music, well, that too. So let's get into it a little bit more, shall we?
The EP wastes no time, launching into the riffy, mid-tempo title track to kick things off. The guitar of Mikko Sarkiowski crunching and squealing as the perfect foil to drummer vocalist Marco Neumann's chest-thumping vocal croaks. There is something about Sarkiowski's guitar fills that oh so delicately suggests goth punk, but it's gone like a wisp of smoke just as our corroded synapses begin to clutch onto it. It's a marvelous way to kick things off, with Neumann shifting to brutal speed for the last minute of the track. Then, just when you think you know where this is going, he adds a layer of noisy filth to the percussion to close things out. Turmoil in Everest also kicks off swimmingly, this time with a doom-laden bass line, accompanied by some zombified, slip-throated vocal gurgles, sure to scare the hell out of the casual Pantera fan that paid for your drink and clearly knows all there is to know about metal. It seems that Neumann is the noisenick at this bunch at this point, and the layer of scuzziness is lovingly draped over his wizened croaks for the first half of the track, again complemented by Neumann's noodlings that again made me think of the Cult for some reason. Let's hear a little of this trip through the Finnish tar pits. This is Turmoil in earnest.
Those not yet convinced by the headbanging delight conjured by these 3 criminals will be hopeless to resist the heads-down riff skulk that kicks off Obscure Flame. Just a little quick on the pace to be doom, offering wafts of gothy arpeggios for the chorus that sound glorious next to the crunch of the main riff. Again, things move into the death thrash mode for the final minute of this short stormer, running the full gamut from doom to death and back again. The 9+ minute closer, Reflection, seems at least on the surface to be rooted in classic doom death, dragging its wounded carcass across the first couple of minutes before showcasing a ludicrously eerie death grunt that seems to go on for a glorious 10 minutes. This was a track that really won me over with its odd saxophone abuse that arises in the second half of the song and continues to spread like a disease over the course of 3 minutes, like some kind of blackened noise art that was festering under a brick in the parking lot.
For any of you that caught our gurgle-heavy Doom Death adjacent top 10 list of 2025, this offering from Ligation is a great way to bridge that sound into the new year. Blasphemous old-school death metal with a doomy edge, laced with an affinity for dirgy noises and possibly 45 grave. Kudos to the Crackerjack team at Personal Records for pointing these degenerates at a microphone. In the meantime, get over to their Bandcamp page and fill your lungs with this Finnish tar. Let's play a clip. This is Reflection. Sounds of Decay 3 is the new album from Agenbite, Misery, Remorse of Conscience. On the heels of our epic interview with Ancient Death comes a review of another ambitious New England act, Agenbite Misery, a Rhode Island-based trio with a knack for dreadful, noisy feedback squalls, dark tempo shifts, technicolor guitar tones, corrosive vocals, and, well, Irish literature. This ambitious concept album represents a 55-minute metallic take on James Joyce's controversial 1922 novel, Ulysses, a story that effectively syncs the exploits of three early 20th century Dubliners with the escapades of mythological figures from Homer's epic The Odyssey. Each of the 8 songs on the album centers on a chapter from the novel, presented amid abrasive death metal dissonance, caustic sludge metal riffs, fall-away clean guitar segments, and grandiose synth accompaniment. Christ, I was impressed with myself for making it through the first season of Three Body Problem.
It's heady stuff to be sure, but not so much here to lose fans of quality doom death or post-metal. The riffing of Samuel Graff is heavy enough to keep heads nodding as he trades off with bassist Cameron Netlin in a smart, fluid fashion that keeps tension moving forward despite the segs into spoken word or clean guitars. Telemachian Echoes kicks things off smartly with agonizing feedback that explodes into furious, hardcore adjacent speed with plenty of guttural vocals and hard riffing, while the curt for a minute Cascara Sagarata coast along on some groovy doom riffing that doesn't shy from speed or heaviness as the song blossoms with noisy shredding and a booming everything but the kitchen sink rising crescendo, taking us smartly to the edge. Let's play a clip. This is Cascara Sagarata. Of course, the bulk of the album's playtime centers around 2 mega pillars: the 13-minute plus epic A Charitable View of Temporary Sanity and the near 15-minute epic Nestrophonia. Hey, whatever happened to my meds aren't working? The former may take a couple minutes of mellow harmonics and spoken word to find its dissident guitars, but when they blaze in, backed by drummer Adams Richards' deft tom rolls, the heaviness is undeniable. Fans looking for 10 solid minutes of Children of the Grave may be a little put off by the stops and starts and sidesteps into clean guitars, but the band comes back again and again, bringing roaring elephantine metal reminiscent of Prime Mastodon.
The latter, Nestrophonia, will also take several lists to digest, cycling from the meditative to the visceral. But this is by far my favorite cut on the album, as the heavy sections are dominant, particularly a fit of feedback wrestling guitar aggression at the track's midpoint that goes on arena style long enough for the drummer to grab a burger and possibly see a double feature. It's a cliche, I've used it many times, but this one's obviously tastes good and is good for you. And while admittedly it may be a little ambitious for the casual ISIS fan, the mellower moments and dialogue bits always seem to lead somewhere sonically punishing for lengthy periods of time. And that's what we all crave, isn't it, kiddos? At any rate, I'm looking forward to their Camus tribute, Mother Died Today, or maybe it was just an unsane album. And you thought all that liberal arts stuff in school was a waste of time, you sillies. Let's play a clip, close it out with Menestrophonia. Stick around, folks, because for Patreon, Stace and I have got a couple more childhood trauma stories to share. Just what you want in a comedy show. Hey, look, brunch, coffee, brunch, metal, and to drink, Peru. Anyway, this has been the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast. Special thanks to the folks in Ancient Death for appearing on the show. Snaggletooth theme by Gustav Jord of Defleshed. Sounds of Decay theme by Steve Rathbone and Blair of the Minotaur. Sounds of Decay bands this week. Check them out. Agenbite Misery, Tria Prima, and Ligation. All content 2026 to Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast.
Start my own commercial called Got Nerdle. What is this? Oh, for God's sake, it's a cease and desist order from the Milk Board and GlaxoSmithKline.
Being sued by the American Broadcasting Association for our nerdle.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.